Well, welcome to the Winter Equestrian Festival, and we are in for another big night because here at where we hit the very heart of what is the big competitions over the next few weeks as well. And it is going to be an exciting rundown of what's coming up. We've been giving you a little bit of everything over the last few weeks, from the Hunter Spectaculars through to top class five-star jumping as well, and it's five-star jumping that we're going to bring you tonight as well. As also our thanks to Jumper as well, who are our official stats provider as part of the Winter Equestrian Festival. We'll be talking stats later, and those provided by Jumper as well. And also, of course, our presenting sponsor of this week's event is Lugano Diamonds. Our thanks to them once again, creating a collection of equestrian-inspired wearable works of art. And to find out more, head to their website either at luganodiamonds.com, or even you can come and see them here on site. Dog Technologies, and thanks to them as well, industry leaders in creative design and technology support services for sports, entertainment, corporate and special events. And so you can find out more again by heading to their website, dogtechnologies.com. And our thanks to all goes to the USEF network and to the US Equestrian as well, who's supporting our events and competitions throughout the whole season of the Winter Equestrian Festival as well. So it is all set, and it's a very warm welcome here to our wonderful events here at the Winter Equestrian Festival here tonight, and we're looking forward to what is going to be an exciting night of sport. And well, we've got one five-star competition behind us just a few weeks ago into week 5, and now into week 7, the Lugano Diamonds $385,000 Grand Prix is all set to run as well. Well, we've already been building up to this through the qualifying classes earlier on this week. That's how we get our top 40 into the class. That includes that Adequate WEF Challenge Cup and the Friday speed class as well. But let's look at the Challenge Cup first, because that's key as well in determining the order for how they go in this class tonight too. And winner there was Ben Mayer and Dallas Vegas Batty, the world number 2 in top class form once again, in a battle against Kent Farrington on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. But they certainly heated it up. Tight turn here made a big difference for Ben as well, and what a recent terrific run he's had. But the 2 top riders out of the world's top 5 battling for that class, and so Ben gets the prime draw. On Friday, into the 150 class, and coming home was Kathleen Driscoll and Flotilla, a rider we've chatted to a number of times in the last few weeks, the leading rider out of Traverse City last season, and again on hot form here, producing the clear needed to get into the number 1 spot in that Friday class as well. Well, to take us through what's coming up tonight, I'm delighted to say I've got a wonderful lineup of guests to talk us through what we think. We can get some stats on this as well to talk about how that comes together and who might be the big contenders. And number 3 alongside me tonight, Danny Waldman joins us again. Danny, this is your favourite week because you're a 2-time winner of this class.
It is my favourite week. I think this is the best week of season.
We'll reflect on that. Joining us too is US team rider Natalie Dean. Natalie, welcome.
Thank you.
You're taking a night off tonight, but you're going to be cheering on Ben Mayer and the team.
Yeah.
And Carl Cook, flown in especially from California. Carl, a fantastic season for you last season, of course. Pan Am's with the team gold there. American Gold Cup before now for you. You won the $1 Million Grand Prix back in December. You're getting ready to get your boots back on here in Wellington.
Yep, I started showing this week, and then it's full steam ahead next week.
Looking forward to that. Well, let's reflect first. We've got 5-star action here on what we had as 5-star action just a couple of weeks ago, because they come thick and fast here in Wellington over the weeks of February and March as well, of course, culminating in the Rolex Grand Prix. But just back 2 weeks ago, Fidelity Investments 5-star Grand Prix saw a win for Ireland. In fact, it was an Irish 1-2-3 with Cian O'Connor and Jordan Coyle on the podium, but the winner was Dara Kenny and Amsterdam. And Danny, it was done in fine style.
It was an unbelievable round. He did 7-1-2, which nobody else did. And he had such a lightning fast round. The horse jumped amazingly. It was actually Dara's first win. Yeah. 5-star win here under the lights in Wellington. And I know the horse hadn't really jumped up at this level since the Tokyo Olympics. So he was really excited that the horse could have a 5-star win sort of under his career achievements. And this long run here to the last was absolutely wonderful. He kept moving and then steadied up a little bit for the last, ran through the timers, and it was just a super round.
And that's what the final lineup looked like there. Kent Farrington was in there in 4th place. Jordan Coyle with For Gold picked up just short of $60,000, finishing in 3rd, and Cian O'Connor and Maurice into 2nd place. They say an Irish 1, 2, 3. Whether it will look like that again, we'll see. Natalie Dean, who's on our desk here, finishing into 6th place there. Nice little pickup there for you, but I know you wanted the number 1 spot.
Yeah, it was a good result, but obviously we want to be a little bit higher next time.
Okay, let's talk this week as well, and Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix. Danny, you and I were sitting in the seat for the Challenge Cup this week. What did we glean from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it took some real jumping the other day, and a lot of people had the early double down. It was those light blue Lugano diamond poles, and that really was a tough point for the riders. But in general, I mean, we saw Ben win. He had a super round, well-deserved. It was a real run in the jump-off for a bunch of people. So it was a difficult class, and I think it's setting them up for what is going to be a difficult class tonight as well.
Carl, from the point of view, it flips the order here. The way it works here is that they get reverse order of that class, so Ben Mayer goes last. You were sitting watching. What do you make of that? You've got Kent Farrington in the top 3. Scott Keach, of course, we should mention, was in 3rd there as well.
Yeah, these classes are always interesting because of that flipped order. The course is going to look one way in the very beginning of the class, and then it slowly starts to creep as we get later on, and by the last 10 compared to the first 10, it's super flipped, and I think you'll see a different style of class.
Different style of class, looking forward to that. Ben Mayer's going to be going last. Natalie, you trained with Ben, the world number 2. Has there been much discussion in the Mayer camp this week, or does he just quietly get on with it?
I think he won the WEF, so he's on a good roll. That was a different horse than he's jumping tonight, and he already won a Grand Prix on this horse this year, so I think he's in good form, and I hope he can pull it off.
He's basically got himself into pole position here.
Yeah.
He and Kent Farrington, I'm looking forward to potentially being a fight it out in the jump off. They've got to get that far yet, but it's building nicely towards that.
For sure, and I think the other day he went quite early in the WEF, and I think he was a little nervous having like Richie and Kent behind him in the jump off, and now obviously has pole position, so I think he's in a good spot.
Danny, it's the second 5-star of the season. This is where we saw a few in week 5 sort of getting their feet wet back into the 5-star competition. How does this one compare?
Yeah, you know, I think some of the people that didn't jump 5 because they were kind of holding off and waiting, they're coming out with their big gun horses tonight. So I think, again, we're going to see James Conn Cruz come out, which we haven't seen him jump yet, a big 5-star this season. So I think this is a class that people really gear up towards, and it's a stacked list. If you look at it, I think there's some big heavy hitters, and people are really ready for tonight.
And this is what we've been seeing the last few weeks. They've been jumping some classes. Some horses have been jumping quiet little national classes that you go, okay, Carl's here this week, he's jumping his top horse, but you've been jumping just quietly as well, jumping the 2-star this week.
Quiet.
Just
he's
quiet.
Building more slowly.
He's been on a slow burn. He's been over in California doing very well. For you, again, you've been gearing up for what's coming up here in the next few weeks. What's been the strategy? Yeah,
I mean, it's really quite tempting to come out of the gates and just, fire away, because it's fun to show and, to jump clear, go fast, but it's a very long year. And even smaller than that, the circuit here in Wellington is very long. So if you come out of the gates the first couple weeks and you're just firing, you don't have that longevity towards the end of the circuit, and then funneling into going to Europe or your other shows. And so it's really important to stay patient and pick the right warm-up for your horse and your plans for the rest of the year.
And talking about what's coming up, of course, we've got 5-star this week, then we go Nations Cup, then we go 5-star. That's a serious block to get into. I mean, you're going to be a part of that. And you say you've had to sort of stop yourself this week and go, okay, I've got the next 2 weeks I've got to go for.
Yeah, you have to look at the long game, really, because sure, I'm missing a 5-star Grand Prix tonight, but the calculus is that will help me in the future.
Yeah.
And it's the right plan to put me and my horses for our longer term goals.
Natalie, you're going to be sitting on the sidelines tonight as well. You're again keeping your powder dry. What's the plan for the next few weeks? And have you seen it like, you work with Ben Mayer's team, see how they manage that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben and I are both quite lucky. We have quite a few horses, but obviously Akata M is my best horse at the moment, and I would have loved to jump her tonight, but I really need to think about the year, kind of like what Carl was saying, and I'm going to show her week 9 and week 12, and I kind of want to build her up for the rest of the season. So it would be great to jump tonight, but she already jumped 2 Grand Prix very well this year, so I think she deserves a bit of a break.
It's all about the management. Danny, getting into that management there, as you say, but we're not short of talent tonight. It's a really seriously stacked field.
It is, absolutely. We've got Richard Vogel on his best horse, United Touch, Renee Dittmer's coming out, like I said, Shane. We've got Rodrigo and his top horse, Major Tom. I mean, there's a lot of people who are pulling out their best horses, but like we've talked about, you know, it is a big year coming up, Olympics especially, people really thinking about that, and you can only jump so many meter 60 jumps with these horses, so it's picking and choosing, but it seems like some people have really chosen tonight to jump.
Because you look, Ben Mayer's pulled out Anjou this time, he jumped Dallas in the qualifier.
Yeah, exactly.
Ken Farrington stayed where he is with Landon, and as you say, we're into Olympic year, so they're gearing up, and they want a certain amount of competition, you want a certain amount of exposure to this and a certain amount of planning, but this is where you make your plan. You will know for this year, you've sat there and the plan is this long.
Yeah, and I think really what's interesting with this week, why a lot of horses are coming out, is I think they see it. I jump this week, and then I have 3 weeks off before, you know, week 11, where I think a lot of people are shooting for that, and week 12. So you have a rest period before week 11 and 12, which will be big weeks for everyone, and this just gives the right amount of break in between.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's going to give us a good run up to what's coming up. So we're looking forward to how all that's going to play out. You've already been looking at who your picks might be for tonight, but a stacked field down there as well. What did you glean from the WEF, Danny?
Whew. You know, I think from the WEF, like we said, because it's now reverse order, what was interesting about the WEF was that actually some of the top combinations actually went very early in the WEF, and I think we got 7 of our 10 clears in that first half, only 3 in the second half, and now it's reversed. So I think from the WEF, where people had to come out strong without knowing what the course was, the stronger part of the field with the horses that are really peaking this week are at the end. They're going to have a chance to watch the first half and then see exactly what the plan is and know what they need to do to execute.
Course designers this week, Anthony D'Ambrosio and Andy Christensen out there, and again, it's putting enough pressure on during the WEF class, but you've already had a walk out there. I'm not going to get you to go through any detail now, but it's a different test.
Yeah, absolutely. I think jumps tonight are very deliberate. Where the placement is, I think the floodlights will actually play an interesting role tonight. There's 2 Liverpools out there. There's a couple of short turns, and there's a lot of jumping to be done tonight. Not only are the jumps quite tall, but like I said, deliberate in the colors that he's using, the placement of them, no place to really get going. So as tough as the WEF was, tonight is a whole nother level.
Whole nother level, looking for that. Carl, you've had a quick look around there. Give me your 30-second synopsis.
Yeah, look, it's up. We know it's big, we know it's wide, but what for me was really interesting was how delicate things were. And there's little tiny tweaks, so instead of a straight line, there's a tiny bend to a lot of the lines, and I think that's a really interesting factor. And, you know, like Danny said, there's very few places to get going. Once you feel like you get going, then there's a tight turn or there's a steady line, so it'll be interesting to see how the riders and horses are able to carry their speed and their power throughout the course.
Excellent, looking forward to that, and we'll get the time allowed when we get to, you and I are going to be heading up to the commentary box, Danny's going to be heading to the sidelines, Natalie's going to be sending to a nice seat to watch it from. We're going to be saying thanks to all of those that get involved, and of course tonight is presented by Lugano Diamonds, and there again, here on site, if you visit here in Wellington, you can come and see their wonderful store here that you get to see them up close and personal, or you can see their wonderful collection of equestrian-inspired wearable works of art at their website at luganodiamonds.com. And say, in a moment's time, we're going to be talking about stats around the riders here tonight as well. They're going to be supplied by Jumper. Our thanks to them as well, the official stats provider here to the Winter Equestrian Festival. And we're going to be going in depth there with the very best in the sport. We'll be back after this break.
Can Jumper help you find your next top horse? Let's say you're looking for an 8-year-old, competing at meter 40, jumping clear 60% of the time. Jumper lets you find top horses by age, pedigree, or performance. Download now and take the guesswork out of show jumping with Jumper.
You'll know Mars for our confectionery, but we're also the people behind Buckeye Nutrition and many horse and pet food brands. Our research has been responsible for breakthroughs in animal welfare. In fact, Mars has been part of the equestrian community for almost 90 years. We sponsor events like Kentucky and badminton, work with riders like Andrew Hoy, Lauren Nicholson, Ben Mayer. We even named one of our most famous brands after a horse. Mars Equestrian, building a better world for horses, pets, and people.
Our journey began with a recognition that this country was built on the backs of these magnificent animals. So why not raise a glass to a good cause and choose Blue Creek Spirits for a taste that's as good as it feels. Our organic Blue Coda vodka is 8 times distilled, gluten-free, produced with high-quality water, and 100% upcycled ice. A top-shelf vodka with global capability and recognition. Join us in the celebration of the American Wild Mustang and our heritage with Blue Creek Spirits, Blue Coda Vodka, and Blue Mystique Gin. Organic spirits designed to celebrate our wild horses and give back to the equestrian community. Cheers.
It's been getting more predictable.
It's not my horse. It's not my. I'm always surprised.
Well, welcome back, and we're back into our build-up to the Grand Prix, which is supported by US Equestrian and the USEF network, where you can watch all the programs here from Wellington throughout the week, the big competitions, and of course WEF Weekly as well. Tune in for that next week too. We've got some big-time guests coming into that once again. A seriously interesting week next week, and our streaming here brought to you by Dodd Technologies as well, industry leaders in creative design and technology support services for the sports, entertainment, corporate, and special event industry. You can head to their website, doddtechnologies.com. So let's take a look at a deep delve into some of the stats around our riders here tonight. We know we've got a strong group coming out of the world's top 10 and strong out of the world's top 20 as well. But how do their stats stack up as well? The first of those we're going to take a look at is Ben Mayer, the world number 2. So take a look at what we have here. He's using Anjou de Grecienne, which is a horse that actually hasn't jumped many 160 rounds, but has been very effective. The horse he rode to win the London World Cup a few weeks ago. 4 rounds at 160, clear rounds at 50%. His average in terms of faults is less than 4 faults at 3.3, which is always handy. 4 faults or better, 75% of the time, so pretty strong. Ben himself, 10 Grand Prix wins here in Wellington before now, and 19 Grand Prix podiums for a man who hasn't been here that many years, but it's pretty good from that point of view. Danny, you're chucking away at that one.
That is 19 podiums. That is impressive stat. I can't believe he's been on the podium. Actually, I can believe. I mean, Ben is just so consistent, so solid, and on so many different horses. I think it doesn't matter what he's sitting on. He just comes out and he executes every single time. I mean, it's not surprising that he's been on the podium that many times, actually.
Natalie, you're getting to experience the Mayer stable up close and personal. Those are some of the stats around Anjou at the moment. What do you glean of Anjou?
Yeah, I mean, Jazz, they call him in the barn. He's an amazing horse. He's still quite green at this level, but obviously has the good results. He won the 3-star Grand Prix here the first week, and I think that Ben thinks quite highly of the horse, and I think he's quite a fast horse in the jump-off, so I think tonight's a good night for him.
For those of us that were in London watching him indoors, he beat Scott Brash indoors on what was a 9-year-old horse then, and was just like a ballerina around there. So light-footed. Carl, your thoughts on Ben tonight, Anjou?
You know, it's for all of us coming up, you know, we look up and it just looks so easy. It looks like as it should, you know, but obviously as it should is devilishly difficult. But it just looks so methodical. The distances show up right on time, the right way. The tight lines don't seem that tight. The long lines don't seem very long. It just looks correct, and it's so hard to be that correct.
How much do you sort of try and watch that and go, what can I take from that?
You know, that's kind of an intimidating question, because you want to take everything, but at the same time, the reality is that's just impossible.
It's just different.
You know, what's important is get that accuracy. You know, I might not look the same getting to that same distance, but it's that accuracy getting to the distance every fence from the first to the last.
And we're talking about Ken Farrington just a moment, but he's very similar, Danny, in that, isn't he? It's precision.
Yeah, I think also very methodical about his program, the training that he does at home, and how he approaches the courses, same kind of thing. Kent and Ben are both very consistent, and they believe in their program and they stick to it. And I think that's very important to create the consistency. You also got to believe in your own program, right, in yourself, and say, this is how I think it should be done, and just pick a lane and stick to it, and that really is what breeds success.
Well, it bred success here on Thursday with a win in the Adequan WEF Challenge Cup, and it was a battle against Kent Farrington that we've just been mentioning. So let's take a look at Kent Farrington's stats as well to see how they compare. Now, he's got Landon, the horse he rode at the Pan American Games for the team gold there as well, and individual silver. 32 rounds, a bit more experienced here, Landon. 32 rounds at 1.60 m, clear rounds 44%. Again, the more you do, those stats are going to change slightly. But 4 faults are better, 78%, so he's slightly better than Anjou. And again, as you say about consistency, and slightly better on the faults average at 3 there as well. Looking pretty similar, actually. WEF Grand Prix wins 10 for Ken Farrington, but 24 Grand Prix podiums. 19? Well, that was nothing, Danny.
I didn't realize. Look at this. I remember this Challenge Cup. He really was we're talking about precision. The way that he rode this track, he used the bends of the lines to be able to keep the pace up without ever having to really pull on the reins, and it just made for such a fast round. And if you see him with this horse, he knows the horse well. He's already got a silver and a gold medal under their roster, so it's just, you know, he knows it well, and it's jumping amazing at the moment.
And Natalie, to watch him as well, it's that same consistency. He looks to be always making the space and hitting the right spots.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both Kent and Ben are very similar in that they're very planned and they're very organized with their horses and their plan for their horses, and I think that really shows in their results.
Carl, Mr. Farrington, your teammate,
yes,
back in Pan Ams.
Yeah, I mean, he's been bringing this horse along for a while. You know, he had some inconsistencies early on with it as he was getting up to speed, but you could just see every round it gets cleaner, crisper, more consistent, and, you know, one of the fastest riders. So
let's flip this around. How much are you looking forward to going up against him in the next few weeks?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's what I like.
See, self-belief.
You've got to have that. You've got to have that.
I'll be fun.
We're not here for no reason. Get in there. Get in there. Okay, Kent Farrington. We've seen his stats. Let's take a look at another that's coming out of the pack, which is actually from Germany, the winner of the Rolex Grand Prix last year here, Richie Vogel, and he's going to be riding United Touch. So that wasn't his Rolex Grand Prix winner, but it was his big winner from Geneva back in December. An amazing horse, which we'll talk about. 24 rounds at 1.60 m, clear round rate 33%. He drops little, still in the 70s, 71%, 4 faults or better, average at 4.2, so he's just drifted beyond there. WEF wins now, he's only been coming a couple of years, so 3 wins for him in terms of Grand Prix, 4 podiums, but I think this is 2nd or 3rd year here. Danny, I mean, it's an unbelievable horse. Tell us a little bit about United Touch.
Yeah, I mean, United Touch is just one of the most extravagant horses that we see jumping in the sport, and truly does have, I believe, the longest stride of any horse not only in the field tonight, in our sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen him leave out not 1 stride, but 2 strides in lines.
And make it look normal.
And make it look normal.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable what that horse can do. Tremendous scope, tremendous stride, and Richie manages him so well. He knows him well, and he's been riding him for a couple of years. I know he had taken the shoes off. That changed things, and he's able to place the horse where it needs to be placed in order to get that huge jump out of him.
And that's the point we should put here. It's not an easy ride.
No, I think it's been a tricky ride. I think he needed to really figure out, when you have a horse with that big a stride, you need to really judge your placement in front of the jumps, your takeoff point, many more strides in advance. Because if you don't, you get this much too close, and then the horse can't get the front legs out of the way, and it kills the rhythm. So I think it's taken a while, and he has just figured him out, and he's won now some huge classes.
Natalie, do you fancy a ride on United Touch?
I wouldn't want to follow Richie on United Touch. I think that stride length he manages it very, very well, and I think Richie's one of the best riders in the world, and I think they're such a good partnership together, and I think everyone likes watching them together.
Yeah, it's wonderful to watch.
Here's a little look at it. Carl, you've obviously been keeping a close eye on that, and those that watched him win in Geneva as well. I mean, this horse is something else.
It really is just the way this horse jumps and articulates his body is amazing, but that stride with it being so long, you really, everything that you think about is around that length of stride. And, you know, Richie's really figured out how to get the stride into a place where he understands.
Absolutely.
Because you're never going to shorten it. You know, you could think like, oh, I need to work hard to shorten the stride. You're never going to really. You just have to understand it. And you could see compare like Kent's round to Richie's round, the ride is so different because the horses are so different.
Absolutely. And if you watched him at the Nations Cup final, first fence, he nearly jumped Richie straight out the tap.
Yeah, that was
and
crazy.
He stayed with it, and Germany won.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's move on to our next then. And talking of consistency, we're going to go to Ireland actually this time around. And Shane Sweetnam bringing out the fabulous James Cancruz. And he's also just been jumping his horse quietly last week, getting this horse ready. This is, again, he's talked about one of the best horses in the world. 37 rounds at 1.60 m, clear round rate of 59%, but average faults 1.8. 1.8. 4 faults are better 95% of the time. That's when I'm talking about consistency. Grand Prix wins for Shane. 3 of those before now, including in the 5 stars on Alejandro, and 12 podiums at this stage. Carl, let's talk stats there. 4 faults are better 95% of the time. That is exceptional.
It's pretty good.
It's staggering. And this horse really isn't the easiest one to ride as well. You know, it's a little bit, you know, tough with its mouth, and you know, Shane has really gotten a great partnership with this horse over the years, and he really places it just where he needs at the right time, and then the horse just jumps clear, and them together it's an amazing match.
Natalie, he just jumps clear. It's as simple as that.
I mean, honestly, Shane has had jumped this horse in so many big classes now. It's a more experienced horse than it was last year, and I think this is going to be a big year for it. Obviously, I think they're thinking for the Olympics, and I mean, they're such a great match, and it's probably one of the best horses in the world right now.
Team silver at the Europeans last year. You were there when he won the Gold Cup, I think, when James was a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
From that point of view, is one that you'd be looking at here tonight as Mr. Consistency.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, in my opinion, I think it's probably the best combination in the class tonight. Whether or not they'll win, you never know, because it's such a huge jumper. It's a little bit harder for him to sometimes go fast. But like we've said, he's jumped some of the biggest classes in the world clear, and he is for sure gearing up towards the Olympics. And I know he was aiming for tonight's class. He was talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and horse looked like it was flying the other day. I think he's ready.
Well, it's always fun to have someone to shake things up, and I think we've got one now, because it's Ashley Bond. And Ashley, former winner of the 5-star Grand Prix here, both in the Rolex Grand Prix with Carolina Bullmore and with Donatello as well back in 2020, 5-star winner here. 34 rounds they've had together. They have a long partnership here. Clear rounds 32% of the time. Again, fault average under 4, 3.8. In the 70s, and it just shows that 20% difference up to James Cancruz, 74% of the time. 3 Grand Prix wins here, 6 podiums from that point of view. Donny is a flyer, but Ashley Bond was talking to us a little bit about it this week, and says sometimes she's got to be driving there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, sometimes you can see her really put her leg on, and he's a small horse with like we talk about a big stride with Richie Vogel. This horse has the complete opposite stride, very small. Ashley always motivating, generating a lot of energy in the horse, and choosing to do even an ad where somebody would do a normal stride or a leave out, she would do 2 more strides, where Richie does 2 less. You know, it's a very different type of horse, but obviously been tremendously successful, 11th in the Olympics, and you know, you see those stats. Clearly one of the top horses in our sport.
Carl, you've been together on major league teams as well. She's been a terrific asset for you, and she's been team captain.
Absolutely. And her and this horse, they just make magic together. You know, it's one horse, when you look at the ride, I think it's something that only Ashley could do, because the way she loops the reins and kicks the horse forward is something that is impossible for someone else to do. It's just such a cool ride to watch, and whenever she's clear, she is going to give it everything she's got in the jump off.
Absolutely. Well, those are our rundown of some of them we're looking at tonight with the stats, and very interesting to see some of those through, like we say, with James Cancruz sitting at 95%. And thank you to Jumper for the stats there, and as I say, we'll refer to a few of those more during the night as well for our big competition as well. But great to have them on board and giving us a whole list of stats to run through to prove some of our points or maybe disprove us just occasionally as well. But the official stats provider here to the Winter Equestrian Festival as well. And of course our presenting sponsors tonight with Lugano Diamonds, with their creation of equestrian inspired wearable works of art. They're going to be shining out tonight, and just say you can head to their website as well when you've enjoyed all tonight's action at luganodiamonds.com. We will be back in a few moments time after this short commercial. I think I found them. Just wanted a bit to go.
Really?
Making your dog your ring bearer is one way to show your love.
Car part.
What, the stats part?
Well,
But delicious
Oh,
Caesar
yeah.
canine cuisine is a better way.
that was much higher than stuff.
Yeah, that was much easier,
sat
much
down.
clearer.
We went and sat down before.
I talked to all of them.
Yeah.
Way easier.
Yeah.
At least just from an understanding standpoint of like, okay, well, what we're actually looking at.
Yeah.
It was cool to see 4 faults are better, and
From playful puppy to adventurous adult, help keep them healthy. Imes for life.
Crazy.
Welcome back to the Winter Equestrian Festival and week 7 of competition. Lugano Diamonds 5-star Grand Prix tonight, $385,000 they're vying for, and it's all part of what is becoming the real heart of the season as well. And if you're following all the action, you can follow it on USCF Network as well, and that's supported by US Equestrian as well. Thanks to them once again for being a part this year of the wonderful events that we bring to you from southern Florida. And also we bring you all the stats that we can too as well, and that is kindly supported by Jumper 2 as well through this, and it's all part of our Jumper pre-show here in the run-up to the Grand Prix as well. Our wonderful presenters here of that, so thank you to Jumper 2, and we are going to take a little look back 12 months ago here under the lights, and it was a nice night again, thank goodness. Danny, Laura Crouch was our winner with Ballatinu on that occasion. She had an amazing season. She had 2 Grand Prix wins together. She's actually surprisingly again one sitting it out tonight, which is for Laura is interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little look back at Ballatinu in action because it was another top-class Grand Prix. We'd already had McLean Ward winning a few weeks before into week 5, and here was the week 7 winner with the Laura in action, and of course another teammate from that Pan Am Gold team.
Yeah, I mean, this was a wonderful round, and I think her and McLean kind of flip-flopped first and second those weeks, and it was a great sort of, they battled it out that night, and as you can see, Ballatinu was just flying. Laura, such a fast rider, truly one of the most prolific sort of female athletes in our sport for so many years on so many different horses, and on this one that night, she was just on it. It was a long jump off, I remember, and the horse was just flying, and she really galloped here, shifted real hard there, you saw on takeoff. But what a round that was.
Certainly, and Laura, we'll get her stats up eventually as well to take a look. There's quite a few podiums in there.
I bet there are.
And wins from that point of view. So let's narrow it down. Let's narrow it down to your picks for the night. Danny, let's come to you first. Let's wade through this list of 39, in fact, we're going to see tonight. Who's your winner?
I gotta go with Tiffany Foster and Battle Cry. There is not a horse in the class that I personally like more, and of course she won the 4-star a couple of weeks ago. So I think this is the horse's first 5-star Grand Prix. So we'll see how it makes that slight change up from the 4-star. But I just love that horse, and I know if she's in the jump off, she is going to be lightning fast on it.
And compared to the NetJets Grand Prix that she won a few weeks ago, there's not a big difference between that class and this tonight.
No, you know, I mean, there is that small difference with the 4-star and 5-star as far as technicality, but I think the horse is tremendous. It has some of the best young stats coming up into the high levels, and I know Tiffany is hungry to win a 5-star here, and I just love that horse, so that's my pick.
Natalie, which direction are you going in?
I'm going to have to go with Ben, obviously.
Oh, why would that be?
Obviously, he's my trainer now, and I think he's just such an amazing rider. And this horse, I think, is on good form, and he saved it in the WEF this week, so I think it's coming on fresh legs, and obviously is in pole position, so I think he gets to see what everyone else does in the jump off, and then go from there.
Has he said much about it this week, or is he just keeping his plan to himself?
I mean, I think Ben's, he's always trying to win. I think he's such a competitive rider, but he always has everything planned out 3 steps ahead, and he's just so fun to watch.
And the thing is, he's got a team around him now, hasn't he, which is really interesting. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think he probably has some of the best owners in the sport, Pam and Charlotte, and then he also has Jane Clark, and I think he has a great group of horses, and he can really kind of use them and pick and choose a little bit, which I think is a little bit of a luxury, but he's on it.
So you're going really sticking your neck out and go with the world number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Rough choice.
Rough choice. Excellent. Okay, and picks from you, Carl. I don't think you can go far from home here, can you?
No, I can't. I mean, you know, I'm going to go for Kent. You know, he's been having a great circuit with this horse. We saw him 2 days ago. We saw him a few weeks back. And you know, it's hard to bet against Kent.
You were on a team with him down at the Pan Ams in Santiago with Landon there.
Yep.
What are Landon's attributes? It was a big championship. It's different to tonight.
Yeah, it was quite interesting that week because, you know, it didn't start out that great.
Yeah.
But each round that week, the horse just got better and better, more crisp, and you know, I think as the past 2 years or so with this horse, it just keeps getting more consistent.
Excellent. I'm gonna have to make a pick as well, and my pick is Eugenio Garza of Mexico, going with Contago. Talking about consistency, again, finished well at the Pan Am Games, top 5 in the Arcan Grand Prix, similarly in Spruce Meadows before that. I hope, Danny, I'm not too far off.
No, I actually think that that horse is one of the most consistent horses in the class. So I think it's a good choice, to be honest. I like mine, but
you're going with yours.
I think yours is still pretty good.
You've walked the course. Is there anyone out there you think this will particularly suit, or are we at a level now that we go, it doesn't matter, they're going to sort it out?
It's all about execution tonight. I think there's a number of horses and riders that are capable of executing tonight, and there's a lot of related distances, and like Carl said, some small bends, places where you can make adjustments depending on your horse, and so I think there's enough people out there that can do it, but it's going to take some jumping tonight.
It is certainly going to take some jumping tonight, and well, it remains to say, good luck everyone. I hope your picks do well. We hope everyone does well. 39 fantastic riders in tonight's Lugano Diamonds class. Danny, you're going to be heading over to sidelines to get in there with the riders as well and find out what they think. You're going to have a bit of fun with that one.
Absolutely. Excited to hear what they say once they walk the course and then come back out and tell us how it felt.
Absolutely. Natalie, you're going to be able to take it easy tonight, watch and keep your nail polish intact until next week, but maybe not if Ben's in contention.
Yeah.
You have a lovely evening. Natalie, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Carl, we're going to make you work a bit more yet. You're going to be heading to the commentary box with me.
Can't wait.
Looking forward to that. Your overall thoughts on tonight? Say you've walked the course, you've looked at it. We've talked about delicacy. There's quite a lot to play.
You know, I think it's a very appropriately set course for the horses and riders that are here for a 5-star Grand Prix. There's some great combinations in here, and I really think we're going to have a great jump off, and it's going to be exciting. You know, the way it's stacked, helps, and it's going to be an exciting night.
Excellent. We're going to have your hat will be off by then.
Yeah.
We'll be flying. Looking forward to that. Thank you to all three of you. As I say, we're going to see some of you a little bit later on. And thanks as well to those that are involved tonight. As I say, our Grand Prix show brought to you by Jumper as well. Thank you to the Jumper team there as well. As I say, also providing all the stats here tonight as well. The music's getting going behind us. It's all building up for tonight's big class as well. And it is going to be brought to you by Lugano Diamonds. And say if you're on site, you can visit their wonderful collection over at the International Club as well, or head to the website, which is luganodiamonds.com as well. Thank you to Lugano, and as I say, they'll be out there presenting tonight, and thank you to the team. We'll see who shines out brightest under the lights here tonight as well. So that brings us to a close. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back, and our thanks to Dodd Technologies. Over 40 years of experience, design and technical support to many sports, to NBA, to NFL, to IndyCar, and of course the equestrian world as well, including the FEI World Cup Finals as well, of course, here in Wellington too. And our thanks to USCF as well, the funding and support of the USCF and USCF network throughout the whole of our series of big classes, and of course through the WEF Weekly shows too. We bring you all the action from the weeks, and this week the big class already completed was the qualifier for tonight's Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix, and the winner was the man right towards the top of the table. He is the world number 2 and the Olympic champion. We have to see what Ben Mayer has to say after his victory.
It's always difficult to win, whether it's on a Thursday or a Saturday night here. I haven't had so much luck with the Thursday classes for a long time actually here. It just always seems to be a one down. But luckily Dallas today, she was amazing. She really felt on form, and she's naturally a fast horse. So yeah, everything went our way today, but for sure when you have Kent, Richard Vogel, these guys behind, it's never over until it's over. It's incredible the horses, they've all come together at the right time, and it really allows me to pick and choose to do the best for them. When you're not on her, I could put Cooper, my son, is 18 months old. He could sit on her and she's the sweetest horse ever, but when you're on her, she has a lot of opinion. She gets a little antsy, and the same thing when I ride her. It's very important I keep it smooth. Have to be a little bit the passenger, not the pilot, and get her to do things by asking her, not telling her. But we've come with a great relationship now, and I know that and want to bring out the best in her. And as we saw today, she's a real fighter for me in the ring.
Doors lead us to places we've never been. Your dedicated Fidelity advisor can help you open those doors. They can help you create a retirement income plan designed to balance growth and guaranteed income, and provide access to specialists who help with estate planning to look out for future generations. So you're not just growing and protecting your wealth, you're sharing it. Because doors were meant to be opened.
It goes like this.
Welcome back, and our thanks to the USCF and USCF Network, their constant support here of the events and, of course, of sport here in the United States. And also to Jumper as well, the official supplier of our stats here to the Winter Equestrian Festival, keeping you up to date with all the data. We'll be back in a few moments' time.
Can Jumper help you find your next top horse? Let's say you're looking for an 8-year-old, competing at meter 40, jumping clear 60% of the time. Jumper lets you find top horses by age, pedigree, or performance. Download now and take the guesswork out of show jumping with Jumper.
The cowboy hustle is physically demanding. No doubt you gotta be tough. But even more important is your mental fitness. Your brain has to be firing on all cylinders to perform, to be clear, to concentrate, and to focus.
Okay.
I'm a father, a cowboy, a businessman, and a musician, and so much more. I drink Brain Java House Brew, packed with the brain power blend of essential vitamins and minerals my brain needs every day to get it done. Low in natural sugar,
we're balanced. He's
calories,
not that
low
much taller than me.
low in sodium. It's a great natural and healthy alternative to energy drinks. Brain Java. Be mindful, be present, turn on your brain.
I can't hear them.
No, don't worry. But you can expect what they're saying. It's 1 minute. We have done, yeah. Yeah. Hello and welcome to tonight's Winter Equestrian Festival here at Wellington International, and a big night of sport for us with the $385,000 Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix, our presenting sponsor here tonight as well. They're going to be shining out, and you can find out more at their website luganodiamonds.com. And our streaming and technical support for many aspects of the sport also brought to you by Dodd Technologies here, an industry leader in creative design and technology support services for sport, entertainment, corporate and special events, and you can head to their website too at doddtechnologies.com. Nice and easy for you, and all brought to you in conjunction with US Equestrian and the USEF network as well for our big competitions as well. And so I'm delighted to say, joining me tonight, we've headed over to the commentary box, is Carl Cook. Carl, very good evening to you.
Very good evening to you.
Looking forward to what is going to be an exciting night of sport. You've got several of your teammates out there as well from the Pan Am Games, where you brought back Team Gold as well. How are you feeling about it tonight?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited to see how it goes. There's some great horse rider combinations. There's a great course. I think we're in for a great night. For you, you're building up for what's coming up over the next few weeks, but you've walked out there. It's what you'd expect on a 5-star night. Yeah, it's big, it's wide. For me, the big takeaway is it's very delicate. It's going to take very careful horse and very precise distances from the rider.
Anthony Ambrosio and Andy Christensen, our course designers here. As you say, delicacy is going to be the order of the day out there. They've given them plenty to think about.
Oh yeah, from the start to the finish, every fence has a challenge, a unique challenge, and the challenge changes depending on the fence and the obstacle. It's going to be exciting.
You yourself have been here in the action with some of these riders. We've got Ben Mayer there, we've got Ken Farrington there. We've sort of got a little glossed over. We haven't said much about McLean Ward yet tonight as well with Callis.
Yep. Look, no matter who's in the jump off, it's going to be fast, and we have some great combinations who have won 5 stars before, and they're all going together tonight, and it's going to be a show.
We're going to be settling into the commentary box to bring you all the action for tonight's competition as well. We saw just a couple of weeks ago the win there for Derek Kenny in Amsterdam. I think it's going to be even harder fought for this one.
I think so too. We're getting into the heart of the season now where everyone's showing their hands, no one's warming up. It's going to be a real competition.
You're going to be with us for the next few weeks. Caracol has been warming up this week with a 2-star competition. We've got Nations Cup next week as well. You're all set to go. There's a few, again, are going to have a little eye on that.
Yep, absolutely.
Looking forward to that. Tonight, it's enough money as well, $385,000. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. There's a lot of money, and there's also a lot of points. The FEI ranking points do matter for all of us riders. It affects our year. But that money is so sweet.
Talking about ranking points, we've got world number 2 in there, Ben Mayer. We've got world number 4 in there, Ken Farrington. World number 8 in there, McLean Ward. Number 11 in there, Richard Vogel of Germany. And number 12 in there, Shane Sweetnam. He's going to be riding James Cancruz tonight. That shows you the quality of what we get here in Wellington. And as we go through the season, actually, we're going to get a few more of the world's top 10 appearing too.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just the top level riders, but their top horses. And so you have the great riders with the great horses matched up together to see who comes out on top.
Talking great horses tonight, you and I have been talking stats in the Jumper Grand Prix show in the run-up to this. We saw James Cancruz with a 95% hit rate for 4 faults or better.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to seeing that one. That could be the big contender.
Absolutely. And with the right jump off, and I think this one's a contender, James Cancruz can be really fast.
Looking forward to that. Crowds are in. It's packed out. We're ready to go. And our thanks to Dodd Technologies, who are a part of our sponsorship group here as well. And you can find out more at their website, doddtechnologies.com. And a presenting sponsors tonight, Lugano Diamonds of our upcoming Grand Prix as well. We're going to take a short break. And so we're going to take a look at the course in just a few minutes' time. But join us after this break.
Cleaning your dog's teeth can be hard. But not with Greenie's dental treats. Greenie's, make health a treat.
At Nutro, we believe in growing healthy dogs. Our nutritious food is made with high-quality, natural ingredients to help dogs live full and active lives. Let's grow healthy dogs.
Well, let's take a look at the course for tonight's big competition for the Lugano Diamonds $385,000 class, designed by Antti D'Ambrosio and also in conjunction with Andy Christensen, our two course designers here this week. Fidelity Investments sponsor our course animation through, and let's take a look at this. Carl Cook alongside me as well. Carl, you can help me give you a little tour around here, starting over one Lugano Diamonds, and from there there's quite a bit of space to two to the wall.
Yeah, but 160 wall, fence 2, you know, you're coming in hot.
2 takes us down to 3 is an Oxer down there at 151, 160 in spread. Then into the triple combination at 4, A, B and C. 8 meters 10 and 11 meters 50 on the way out there. So it's a little more of a stretch on the two strides.
Yep, absolutely.
Taking from there down to fence 5 at that point on the course. That's in the orange colours. And that's the MS fence, and that's got a 170 spread. Then a related distance 7, maybe 8. We'll talk about that as we go. To a skinny at fence 6 at 162, and then back to the triple bar. Then 7, 8 strides. Again, we'll talk that one through at 8 A and B on an 8 meter distance. 4 strides then up to the next at 9 after that, in the golden colours. From 9, it is obviously a rollback to number 10. But number 10, again, what's in challenge here? 152, 170 in spread. And then coming down 5 strides, it looks like, to 11 AB on a 1 stride distance into the double there in the Lugano Diamonds colours. And the lines to finish over the 2 Rolex fences to complete. Plank down there at 12 and 13. Little bit of a bending line to finish, maybe on 6 there. We'll see how that plays out for those competing here tonight, but that's what we've made of what we've walked the course. But when you ride it, it's something very different indeed. And so as we complete, another of our local schools getting involved in the proceedings for starting us off here with the anthems. We are seeing the clock tick to 7 o'clock to start tonight. Carl, your quick thoughts on the course as we take a run in here.
I'm really excited because there's some interesting questions that the course asks both different horses and different riders, and it's always interesting to see how the various riders approach the various questions. Do they add? Do they leave out? And how do they deal with many questions? Time
allowed there of 78 seconds we've been given. 408 metres around here, 13 obstacles, 17 jumping efforts, which again is quite a lot to cover.
It's a lot to cover, and you know, before we see anyone go, it seems time allowed is a little bit short, but there's a lot of tighter rollbacks. It'll be interesting to see how the time plays.
Exactly. Danny Woolman and I were commentating earlier on this week, and we said that time sounds short. And you think, well, how do you know that? But when you've seen this arena so many times, you get used to the numbers that are in there. But 74 earlier on for the WEF, I think it was this week, 78 for the Grand Prix. We'll see how it plays out. Rally Heiler is going to start us off, and the US rider with Kurt Heiler of Boston's Abora's Chloe with the mare by Chaco Blue. She's just 24 years of age and stepping into one of her big 5 stars here this week. Jumps previously in one previous one. That was in Traverse City, and that was back into 2022. Combination of 4th in the Devon Grand Prix, and actually in Germany last year, finishing top 3 in the Braunschweig Grand Prix as well for this young rider. Carl, she's off to a good start.
She's off to a very good start, nice and flowing, a little bit close to fence 2, but, you know, it's really important to get your head into this course because things are going to come up really fast, but she's riding it nice and smooth and just letting the course come to her.
Triple combination along, if you'd like to call it, the short side of the arena. It's pretty wide as it is, but that's an interesting one.
It is, and it's shoved all the way into the corner, so when you're rolling back to it, you're passing that gate. You don't have a lot of time from fence 3 to 4A. You know, if you land a bit shallow or out of control, and it's a tight turn.
Triple bar here, and then up to the double at 8A and B. How did this one come out for you up to the Golden Horses?
Yeah, walked a little bit of a longer 7, but you're coming off of a tight rollback to a triple bar. I was thinking 8's going to be more common. I don't know how many people are going to do 7, but I think there's a couple of candidates with a bigger stride.
They're just plain poles on the sculptures there. All one in trouble at the Lugano double. Does well to jump the second part, recovered well out of there. And here's the final line to the Rolex plank, and then just a little bit of a curve to the finishing fence here. They're going to be a little bit over that time allowed of 78 as well. It's going to put them on the 3-time, but into their first big 5-star Saturday night there as well. 8 jumping, 3-time, 80.80 for Rally, but good recovery there in the double.
Great recovery, and you know it's a tight roll back to that oxer. And when she had that back rail, I think she just lost maybe a little bit of focus there, little bit, and just didn't make the right call to the Lugano. But the first 3/4 of that course was really well done, really smooth, really composed.
Final line there to the 2 Rolex fences. Actually, let's go back to the MS fence, because he's put a little bit of almost an emulation of a hedge under there. It's going a little bit old school there.
Yes, it reminds me of steeplechasing, you know, the hedges jumping through.
Absolutely. A little bit hint of those old Derby courses as well, as someone that still is involved with the likes of the Hickstead Derby. Hilary Scott of Australia has jumped in classes like that, and comes with the homebred horse here, and that is Oaks Milky Way. Australian bred horse by Clearway for Hilary, and she and her mother Alice Cameron, who was so well involved in producing horses, initially moved to Valkenswaard, Netherlands, now out here in Florida for the season as well. Was part of the Nations Cup final last year for Australia, and this is another one that's got some good championship credentials and goes early here, but I think might be a one to come out of the pack.
Yeah, absolutely. She's super experienced combination. They've been around for a while. They know each other really well, and you know that sort of thing is really helpful in Saturday Night Lights. You know, you really need to understand your horse.
With the Oaks prefix of their studs. The MS fence to say just a little bit of hedge under there, and then down to this skinny as well. He's playing with the course designer playing 2 different elements there. You've got a more solid fence to then light straight up.
Correct, and heading straight back to the back gate, to then a tight turn after, you know, really playing in your direction and your light and your color. Just unfortunate rail there in 8A, you know, just jumped a bit withers down.
Takes it to 8 now with 2 down on track, and say just getting back into the groove. You can see around the arena how packed this is tonight as well. There is literally, when we say standing room only, there is standing room only around here. On 12, and Towers just takes a little pull, get there. Yep, she does. Just has it down, but gets a little bit pulled out of that final line in the end. 78.07, going to put 1 time, 16 jumping for Hilary Scott and Oaks Milky Way. A little bit of a heart stopper in the final few steps there, Carl.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, it's a long course, and that 6th stride can be a little bit continuing, but I think she...
What do you mean by that? For those viewers at home?
Yeah, depending on how you jump the second to last fence, it can be a little bit long to the oxer. It also can be a bit short if you jump directly at the oxer, and I think she landed and didn't like the 6 and took a hold and did 7.
Nicola Philipparts of Belgium, world ranked 27th in the field on a seriously good combination here. This is Katanga. The Belgian red mare by Cadento won the Grand Prix in La Baule last season, the 5-star there at the Nations Cup. Jumped in Geneva and Prague, those big indoors in the run-up, was 6th in Aachen at the Grand Prix there as well. This is a horse with a lot of big credentials, and finished winning the Grand Prix here last year. Interesting, got another little wall early on. We saw the wall appear into classes already this week. Different wall, but they tend to get them in early.
Yeah, and I can't tell you why they necessarily do that, but it does seem to be a trend recently of putting those walls in quite early.
Just loses a boot there. I was looking whether it was a shoe, but it's a boot down there. This line, they've dropped the hedge underneath there, the filler.
Yep.
What is that going to do?
It's going to draw the horse's eyes down, and what's interesting, after a nice wide fence, the orange, it's 8 or 9 to the skinny. Hillary did 9. Nicola did 8, and I think that's, it's always interesting to see how the different riders manage the question.
Nicola Philippart's answering them so far.
But this last line has been...
Yeah.
Because that roll back to the oxer is tough. The 4 gets long coming in. It walks kind of normal, that 4, but out of a tight rollback landing from an oxer, it's going to be, forward. And, from the WEF the other day, that Lugano combination was the big one the other day, and I think it's going to be a challenging one today.
Finished on a total of 8 there at 73.79. It's 8 there for Nicola Philippart's and Katanga this time around for them. Another look back is exactly what you're saying here, Carl, so talk me through it.
Yeah, you just land shallow, and it kind of catches you out a little bit. You can see how long he was coming in, and when you come in long to a combination like that, horses will generally set down early because they see B coming, and so you don't get the same jump you'd get to an individual fence.
And that's what we're saying, when you've got those 2 fillers on the bottom of the Lugano fence, they tend to start to look towards those a little bit as you come in. And again, what we were talking about in the class earlier on this week in the qualifier, that's your job as a rider then, to keep the horse's concentration.
Yep, and to make sure that, in that case, you've got to give them the positivity and the confidence, to keep soldiering forward.
Mimi Gotchman, soldiering on at just 19 years of age, junior young rider, individual gold medalist, youth gold medalist as well. Just forward into that line there, and it just catches them.
Yeah, just catch them. It was interesting when I walked. There's a bit of a reflection from the lights above on that Liverpool, which can draw the horse's eye down, but it just seemed a little unfortunate, a little just kind of...
Mimi training with Dara Kenny, the Irish winner of the previous 5-star Grand Prix here. Finished well in the Grand Prix in Toronto at Angelstone last year. And again, they've just set that on. That was a good angle to see that, because you can see it's not straight, it's just on a little curve.
Exactly, and you're having to pick between 7 or 8, and it also depends on how you jump, where you land on fence 7, so that little bend is just something that adds another element to the ride. You can see again the Lugano
gets flat through the Lugano. Yeah.
And it's hard, especially into the Lugano with 4 strides. You can't really do 5 because it's so short. 2 days ago it was one or the other to the Lugano, and
it was 7 strides on that occasion. Leaves them on a score of 12, 76.10 for Mimi Gotchman and Cosmos BH. Unfortunately, 2 of those coming at the Lugano Diamonds double again. Interesting line there. Here's the early wall for them, but this is where they had a fence and just seems just travelling onto it.
Yeah, just had a little squat on the takeoff, and maybe not enough hold with the hands on the takeoff stride there, but it wasn't a bad ride by any means. It was just a little rub, which can happen at jumps this big.
And again, that comes down, but you're talking about down there, distance is what, 19 meters 40 from 10 to 11, so it is a pretty standard distance from that point of view. It's not.
But you walked it, like when I walked it, I said, oh, it walks just a hair long, but in the situation that line is in, it's going to get long.
Yeah. Heavenly W is going to be our next with Carly Anthony for the next of the US riders. Portfolio horses Heavenly W, Dutch bred gelding by Calvaro FC. Great to see Carly into the 5 stars here as well, being a terrific producer of horses too over the last few years. Spent time with some of the best, including Ben Mayer as well. Was also being placed twice into week 5 with Jet Blue, the other ride that she has for the same team. And again, she's been one to produce consistency, but stepping up. Heavenly W here, jumped round the 150 the other day for just 2 timefulls.
Yeah, and she's always a very, classically styled rider. She always rides very crisp, very accurately, and, she's had JetBlue for a long time now, and it's good to see, bring up another one.
Just didn't make it across the triple, and again, just a little stuck into that line, trying to get to the back of the oxer there.
It doesn't seem that the horse is all the way finishing behind in the air as we're getting farther through the course.
Yeah, big stretch out. Got through the hard pass.
Yeah. Yeah, it finished really nicely.
Yeah.
It just, up that line, it got, a little shallow.
78.97. They have one time, finishing on 8 there for Carly Anstey and Heavenly W. Again, a step up for them as horse-rider combination here. We haven't talked too much about the time yet because it's been interesting. We've seen 78, we've seen 76, we saw the first out over 80, and then we saw Nicola Philippart's round in 73.79.
Nicola's always fast on Katanga, but I think the time allowed is tidy, but it's definitely not,
it's not
too short. Yeah, I think they set it in a good place to give people, to make it be something in your head while you're thinking about going around, but not being just impossible, making it a speed
which is
round.
what it should be. It should just be enough to put an extra little bit on your rider, so you've got to keep moving.
It should be an element.
Yes.
It shouldn't be the whole thing.
Yeah. Jordan Coyle, actually with a newer ride for him now for the Elan Farm. This is Chacolino, is the now 13-year-old gelding for Jordan, but really interested to see him bring this one out. Jumped week 5, but has only done the 2 stars before that. Literally had a few classes to get going, and they've done some other work out in the national classes, I'm sure, and at home, and it'll be really interesting to see because it's certainly a horse. It's the right age, ready to go.
Yep, absolutely, and it's interesting. Some horses you need to really slowly kind of bring them up to get everything in place and everything understood, and some horses it makes more sense to jump a bunch of 2 stars to something small and then go straight into a 5-star. Really, that's where the feel of the rider and the management.
And this horse jumped in Europe in a number of Nations Cups through the 3 and 4 star there with Ruslan Petkov of Bulgaria. So a number of those Eastern European big shows there as well. So not inexperienced, like I say, age-wise, ready to go and handling this well.
Yep, looking really smooth, really clean. But we're coming to the line.
Here's the alley. Picks his way through there. And just keep an eye on that clock is the only thing I would say at the moment. It's going to run a little bit close to this.
It's going to be over.
Yeah, just started to feel like that on the way there. 79.20, 2 time there for Jordan Coyle and Chacolino. But I don't think he's going to be disappointed with that.
No, I mean, he should be super happy with that because of how composed it was. He jumped clear, yes, but it was so composed, it wasn't like he was fighting for his life every fence. And, that's such a good sign for the future that you could just come out and jump so easy.
And Jordan has such an array of horses as well. Chacolino looking a little more classic in there as well. He jumped for gold into top 3 the other day. Smaller horse, really gives everything. He's got a Riso that's a big horse that's just another completely different type. I mean, there couldn't be 3 more different horses.
If the horse has 4 legs or even 3, he'll figure out how to ride it.
We're working out to do it. Well, this one definitely has 4. They rode at the European Championships last year and were on the winning team at Hickstead for the British as well. Tim Gredley and the 12-year-old Medoc Saldria is the Belgian gelding by our next to go by Der Sanat for Tim, World Championship rider going back to 2006.
And you can tell already that just the way this horse carries its canter is faster than Jordan's horse. Sometimes it just helps to have a fast horse.
Just on the 4 so far for Tim. Tim, another is going to have his eye on championships looking through the year as well. Let's say he was on the European Championship team, went very well in Rome as well in the Grand Prix last year. Just now stepping as onto the Europeans last year again for the British squad.
It was interesting that 5 after 8B, it walks almost a little bit quiet, but because you're jumping uphill a little bit at B, landing from an oxer, that 5 can get quite long for people.
Shook things up a little bit down there. 4, as they might well think as well, could still very much be in the money here tonight yet. Long way to go, but he's going to be okay for time, getting there on the 4, 76.
Tim Bradley finds his way to the finish in 76.04 with Medoc and Sandria. He does fulfill the triple combination.
I know in his place he's probably quite disappointed right now because I probably did too. But at the same time, it was such a good round. It was just an unfortunate rail, but you also know that it was just right there. And it's the way it goes sometimes.
Very close. Middle part of the triple combination just drops away there for Tim Gredley of Great Britain. And Tim now hands over to our next for the USA, Elise Oken from Charlotte, North Carolina, with the High Hopes Farms at Bonhomme Richard. French-bred stallion by Katoki. She's just back from Abu Dhabi, actually. She was on the US team there as well in the last few weeks with Gelviro, which she's gone so well with too. And Bonhomme Richard, again, another one making a little bit of a step up here as she goes into these 5 stars with this horse. Like I say, she's done plenty of 5 stars in the past, but it's their first 5-star Grand Prix together. Trains with Marcus Beerbaum, has been with the likes of Laura Crouch and team through her career, but again been going very solidly. Number of US teams out in Europe last season as well. Going to be really interesting to see here. And again, you feel they just cut that a little bit.
It's such a hard, you're shoved all the way in the corner. You also have a bit of a, tight time allowed, so you don't want to, go too far in the turn, but the shorter you go in the turn, the more risk you're taking to the triple. But if you don't take the risk, you don't make it under the time allowed, it's just, that's the challenge.
Again, just on the 4 here, you come out to this double, and again, you probably,
It's
you're
tough.
trying to make the curve.
Yeah, and in this ring, it is nearly flat, but in that area, jumping 8AB, you really are jumping uphill. And, it's very small, but especially for like a vertical oxer, it does play. And I think that's why the back rail of B there is coming into play a lot more than without that slope.
Final fence just underneath that one, like I say, first 5-star Grand Prix for this pair together. Elise Oken and Bonhomme Richard finishing on 16 there, 78.08, so just over the time. Like you say, there is a little bit of movement there, but are the old school going to look at you and go, gradient? That's not a gradient.
No, and it's something so subtle that, it matters at this height. It doesn't matter when it's lower. It's just another one of those little elements where when you walk, I've got to support some more here than I maybe normally would in this case.
Well, leaving us with the best so far being Jordan Coyle on the 2 time faults on 79.20 with Shakalina, Tim Gredley on the 4 faults in second, Nicola Philipparts on 8 in third. And strength through this field because this is a pair that jumped at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, Nal Nasser and the Evergate Stables Igor van der Vietemor for the Egyptian rider.
This is such a great partnership. They've been together for a while. They've had so much success, and it's always a great, combination to watch.
Igor being a big winner for him. Of course, he was a winner last year of the Queen's Cup up in Calgary. Up at Spruce Meadows there, $1 million class there. You know what it's like to win $1 million classes. California, December, Carl.
Oh, that was a fun day. This one will be interesting to see 8AB because of B as we spoke about, but also this horse has a little bit of a smaller stride, so that, that 4 stride coming in Lugano, it's going to be interesting to see how he manages it.
Overall, that little line there hasn't played too much of a part yet.
No.
I feel it will. I feel we're going to get a good spread across the course. But
yeah, I think early on you were seeing some more people attempt 9 there. But as, people were seeing, what are the safest ways to save some time around this course, doing an 8 stride to that skinny is you're converging much more around that now than you were in the beginning. And, and he rode it well, He rode the rollback really well. He got a good going distance to fence 10, but it's just such a... For a shorter strided horse, that line is really challenging.
Leaves him on a score of 8 there for Nal Nasser and Igor van der Vietemor for the rider for Egypt. So 2 down this time. His time is 74. Again, handles that well. Carl, again, little look at the last here. They can take a run at that. I mean, most should be handling that okay, but again, they've just given you a little test. And what you don't probably really see on the screen there, it's right past the in-gate.
Yeah,
so you're thinking, I'm done. No, you're not.
It's right past the in-gate, and I think also what that last fence really does is it brings into play that plank right before it. If it was just the plank and you ended at fence 12,
exactly,
you would approach that plank a little bit differently than if you have that oxer after. So, none of these fences are wasted.
None of them are wasted. No, they're all out there and they will all play their part. Gabriel de Matos Machado and Niles for a horse that came from the Sweet Oak Farm from Shane Sweetnam's team. Shane actually rode this horse briefly as well. It was produced with Vicky van der Poel in Belgium. Has won at 3 stars so far. This is their first 5-star from that point of view.
you could see a little bit there was some miscommunication on direction there to fence 3, but at least in a longer line that doesn't, he was able to bring it back around.
Fast part comes down. As you say, you've got to really make it a deliberate turn into that corner and do it, haven't you? You can't not be on the ball completely there.
Correct.
You
can't wait at any point. You got to be very deliberate and say, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to get this turn done, because if you wait at all you're going to see is that you're too late.
And just got to get set up for the curve to the water tray there. Using a couple of Liverpools this time, not the open water. A little stuck there, but actually
the horse has a bigger stride. If you compare, Niall and Igor from the last round, it just looks so much different when you have a different stride.
Not quite what they would have wanted, 24 jumping and 3 time, but like I say, another step up for them here, 80.80. And as we all know, and exactly as you were talking about a little bit earlier on, you've got to advance to those levels, find out what you've got, find out what the good bits are, find out the bits you need to work on and go from there. But here was where the first pole dropped.
Yeah, and I think, coming off of this round, I think it shows, clearly some things to work on. And, that can be a great thing.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, I need to work on this more. Sure, there could be a little bit disappointing, but
you're Mr. Analytics. How much do you sit and I mean, we all watch the rounds back, but do you put numbers to it? Do you make notes to it? What do you do?
Yeah. I write little write-ups about each round, and
which is sensible.
Yeah, and what's fun, what you can do later is you can actually run it through an AI bot, and it'll pick out which words you're using more often really over time. Yeah. But that's how, you record those immediate feelings, because even the next day, your brain isn't the same.
We've done, exactly. I was brought up the same. We were playing different sports, and you would go and make a notes after you've had your lesson, because you actually went back to them and went, I'd forgotten he said that to me. Anyway, let's concentrate on Australia now, and Tyser Irwin just has the first part of that combination down. Former World Cup winner Australia, riding for Michael and Wendy Smith of Middleburg, Virginia. High Star Hero this time, and this is a horse we saw a good few times last year. Really impressed, actually, and 11 years of age now for this horse for Tyser. He's the leading rider internationally on to week 1 as well. Had a good start there.
That was unfortunate first rail. It just looked like she was a little bit weak off the floor, needed a little bit more. Got to the right place, but not with enough, RPM or energy, needed a little bit more leg.
Oomph.
Yeah.
To put the technical term to it. Just on the floor then. Again, let's see how they handle down. Ooh, just dips the leg down. Now she's got to really drive.
And you can see, the first couple didn't know how long that line was going to be, but now all the riders have seen it. But even still, you could see she thought she was in a good place landing and moved forward a little bit, and then realized it was still too far and had to move up again. It's still, it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. That's what it's meant to be. Big night in. And Tyser Irwin there, finishing on 78.90. So 8 faults, 1 time for them as well. And again, into this triple combination. As you say, it's hard to gauge the speed of how much you need to travel in there.
Yeah, and a little bit, if you put too much leg off the floor to A, then you'll be too close to B. So you're trying to meter. It's not just more is better. It's, you got to get the right amount.
And the hard part is you're probably coming to A going, have I got enough? And not wanting to do much about that at that point.
Yeah. Because, you have a feeling of, oh, I'm there. I am enough for the rest of the combination. If it was just a single oxer, you'd approach A differently.
Margie Goldstein Engel, and let's just remind you, 2 time faults is the best scores so far. Jordan Coyle and Shakalino, 79.20. Time allowed of 78 seconds. Carl Cook alongside me here for tonight's class. Margie leading very little introduction with the 15-year-old Decas, one of the very best in the sport. The Garber show horses Bartolome and Glade wins Decas, the gelding by Diorado for Margie. One of the most prolific winners of Grand Prix around the world. But this pair together finished 6th in the World Cup qualifier in Washington. Finished one in Miami last year as well. Very different arena to that, to this one. And here through the triple combination. Got the right balance.
Yep, and it's amazing, when you watch a rider like Margie, the way she approaches the fences, you can see what we mean by, positive driving forward. You know, she's very positive and very much with the horse the whole way instead of, you know, a little bit more passive. You know, she's a great example of that more very deliberate style.
Is it fair to, oh, there we go, gets a bit more revs on there. Is it fair to then think of it as, you know, driving a car and say, okay, you've got to drive down this road and you've got to stay at 30 miles an hour to do it? You know, it's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, you know, think you're driving your car down a dirt road.
Yeah.
And then you have a mud puddle. If you're accelerating into the mud puddle or staying the same, that gives you a different outcome.
Margie, victim of the Lugano Diamonds double again on the 8, pushes for the last, and going to be okay for time, but has 2 down, 76.83. 8 there into 5th place so far for Margie Goldstein-Engel, and Decaz from that point of view gives the horse a pat. And just let's see, again this line, again it's finding balance of pace.
Yeah, and getting the right ox or fence 10 is just so critical, and it's so hard because of the time allowed and the nature of that turn. I think a few riders after the WEF and tonight are going to want to petition for not having that color of obstacle again.
It looks fabulous. It looks fabulous. It's part of the test. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Derek Kenny now, winner of our Grand Prix here 2 weeks ago for that Fidelity Investments Grand Prix. Heathman Farms, though, VDL Cartello was the horse he rode at the Olympic Games in Tokyo. Really interesting to see how they get on here as well. Jim Rav just for fault to the NetJets Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago as they were coming back into action, finished in the top few at the World Cup qualifier at Fort Worth in Texas. Now, again, I mean, Dara, you know, he can have any horse ready for the day, can't he?
Absolutely. You know, he's not one where you say he really has a style. And he just is so good with his horses. He has such a smooth type style about him. And, you know, you see with his success, it's amazing.
And it's as you say, it's the one that will then fit to that horse. Let's see we're down this line. Triple bar. What have you gleaned from this so far of how to take this one? Because we said he's a little bit of an option 7 or 8 down.
Yeah, everyone's doing 8. I haven't seen a 7 yet.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing is a little bit of an outside track in the 8 is a good thing so that you can have a more forward type 8 than waiting all the way in the 8. If you're waiting all the way, that makes it harder to jump the back rail of B, where if you're continuing, you have more energy.
Dara Kelly looking good so far. Time allowed is 78 seconds. Should be good for that, and should be good for the first that clears. Dara Kenny and VDL Cartello will put themselves back in the frame. Dara, different week, different horse, no different as a rider.
Nope. He's just so good. You know, you could see, you know, fence 10 to 11A, you know, he had his plan. He rode it accurately, but he didn't overdo it. You know, he didn't just fly 10, fly in 11A. You know, he was very deliberate about it.
Dara Kenny gives us clear round number 1 of this Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix here tonight. Big effort over that final Rolex Oxa. And actually, it's not that wide. I was just looking down, 140 in width. Just going down, actually I'm going to lie about that one. I'm going to get that right because it's actually quite right. It's 185 in width.
Yes, it is very wide.
About 185 in width from that point of view. But again, when you walk down to it, it doesn't look quite as intimidating as that. There's a lot to get across.
And the line to it is pretty normal. Horses at that point have, you know, kind of a longer stride. They're covering more horizontally than vertically.
Ashley Bond is on the run here with Donatello, former Grand Prix winner here in Wellington as well on several occasions, including the Rolex Grand Prix. And we talked about this horse and rider in the Jumper Grand Prix show in the run-up to this, Carla. We were saying a little bit shorter strided horse, but she's got to get the speed in.
Yeah, but you can see she's always has a very moving canter. You know, and she'll point straight at this and still do 8 to 8A because the horse has a smaller stride. You know, it's just that little adjustment in track, you know, because of the stride she has. But she's so fast along the ground, and you know, with that smaller stride, she can really gallop the horse. I thought she was going to try that.
Go on. What did she do?
She tried 5, because it's so hard to fit in an extra stride when you only have, you know, when you're trying to fit a 5 and a 4. It's not the same as fitting, you know, one more stride in a
7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think she got 80% there, maybe a little bit too much of a positive jump to fence 10, which is the opposite of what we've been saying. You wanted that positivity to get the 4, but I think maybe a little bit too much gas to fence 10, which then made the 5 a little bit more challenging.
Just has that first part of the Lugano down, puts her on 4, goes into 3rd place so far for Ashley Bond and Donatello at 74.74 from that point of view. Let's take us to Chloe Reed, and Chloe at the crossover 4 to be exact, the Hanoverian gelding by Cascadello for Team Reed up in Ocala as well. And Chloe actually had a super run here back in December as well, was top 3 in 2 Grand Prix here, and top 5 at the American Gold Cup as well. She also chatted to us the other day about this horse as well as part of the WEF Weekly that week. If you want to find out more, you can go back to that program and watch. Ooh, I was about to say how consistent this pair are, but they do not like the wall.
Interesting. I didn't know this. I think the horse was probably more surprised than anything because, you know, getting to this level, you jump plenty of walls on your way, and it also didn't look like it was something that Chloe was expecting.
No. Yeah, just thinking back, I've got it back in my mind as well that cropped up in the WEF class the other day too, just a couple of weeks ago. So it is, unfortunately, she's going to say good night. Just got across the wall, got that job done, but a little bit of surprise for them, for Chloe Reed and crossover, but taking a little bit of the exception to the walls. Let's move on to McLean Ward. And well, his house is a wall full of medals and trophies, and well-deserved as well. Whoop. And it is with Callis this time. This is actually the horse he rode to win the Grand Prix onto week 5 here last year as well for the Beechwood Stables. Wonderful owners with him as well for the world number 9. And well, on the same team as you, Pan Am Gold, back to Santiago. We were all down there in November of last year as well. Individual bronze there as well. And let's give him the full accolade, the Olympic silvers, the double Olympic golds as well. He is well deserved of that wonderful lineup. But his concentration is now on this moment.
Yep.
What do we think?
Absolutely. You know, there's no point where you could ever count McLean out. I think he and this horse have every ability around this course. It's, you know, it's just about the execution, but all the potential's there. And then Dara and McLean in the jump off would be awesome.
We wouldn't mind that.
Nope.
Now let's see how he handles, because again, it's keeping your shape around into that turn, isn't it?
Yeah, and he really supported the horse on C. He had a little issue with that last year where the horse would kind of get a little bit flat at the end of the triple, but super.
Again, the home crowd watching in near silence as McLean tries to go for the first the US clears.
And, you know, he's being efficient, but he's also not being that quick. Like, you know, you're not, like, here, it...
But he's taking a tight enough track.
Yep.
That's there.
Very good.
Time should be about 75, I think, by the time he gets home. McLean, Ward and Callis looking good. Yep, there we go, 75.82.
Yep.
And McLean, Ward and Callis are back in the frame. They won, as I say, this class 2 weeks ago, last year, 12 months ago. World number 8 in with a very good shot there. I mean, that was how to do it.
Yep, it was, you know, it's McLean Ward. It's what you expect. It was crisp, it was clean, it was accurate. It was, you know, you could tell he was very deliberate about his plan and, you know, executed it the way he was hoping.
And is that the thing? I mean, watch McLean down here. I mean, it's the way riders like McLean keep their cool down there.
Yeah, and a little bit what we were saying, you know, he was just kind of cantering around the course. You know, he's not rushing anything. You know, it almost can be a bit deceiving. You're almost like, ooh.
Drops into a gear.
Yeah, and he just keeps going and stays calm and takes each jump at a time.
Jessica Mendoza, Kinmar quality hero for the British rider that goes next. And Jessica with a new ride pretty new ride for her, jumping into their first 5-star this week, had since November of last year. Jumped clear in 4 in the Challenge Cup on WEF 6, that was out on the field, but that was into the 3-star. One-time fault in the 3 stars in WEF 2 as well. She's a European Championship rider for the British as well, and it's a horse that actually, again, has gone nice and steadily along. That was from Mark Martins. And it'll be interesting to see how they handle this tonight, because they could well do, whether we get a clear or not, but even just 4 faults I think could be around for this horse, but we could get a clear. Whoop, steady.
And this horse has quite a large stride. You know,
yes.
That was 8, and it was really, really backwards, and then you could see it's hard to come out over the back rail when you're that steady coming in. Borderline, yeah. It doesn't look as long as it's been for other people. You know, it's still long, but it looked a lot more normal for
It's
her.
going to be very interesting to see how United Touch handles that as well a little bit later on with Richie.
I think it'll look like an equitation. He'll just he'll just sit
he'll
there.
He'll just do it on 4.
Exactly, no problem.
Just do it on 4. So it is a total of 8 plus 1. Total of 9 there, 78-48 for Jessica Mendoza and Kinmar Quality Hero. And like I say, first time for them. They've only been together, literally, we can count it in weeks rather than months from that point of view. I wouldn't be too displeased with that.
No, absolutely not. You know, just a little bit better ability to control the track, and you know, that's what you get with more time.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look to Adrian Sterling now, and to the rider who's been part of US teams as well, including World Championship Gold, and a horse that she's bringing into the 5 stars here for the Starlight Farms of Greenwich, Connecticut. Arija is the Belgian-bred gelding by Thunder van der Zoethoven. 10 years of age for Adrian, was produced with Johanna Ekberg of Sweden. Jumped well in Spruce last year, which was their sort of first outing there. Very different setting out there on the grass, big open space for them. But again, has been jumping some nice rounds here as well. We'll be interested to see here.
Absolutely, and this horse, you know, it just seems like a horse that's her type, and it seems easy.
Goes nicely through the triple combination. Like I say, that line's not having too much of an issue for them. They seem to have got that crack. But there's you know, we're talking 7-8 strides down there. They've got room to play with it a little bit. It's still delicate though.
Exactly, but it's also, you know, a little bit from our side. It's a little bit of a nice break.
Yeah.
You know, because you know 3-4 ABC is tough, and then you know 7-8 on is very tough, and you know gives you a bit of a breather in the middle. Very nice.
Coming through here nicely for Adrian Sterling and Arija.
Time-wise,
time-wise is going to be very squeaky here. I'm not sure we're going to make it. In fact, I'm sure we're not going to make it. It's going to be 80.16, but I think she's going to be very happy with that, actually. I mean, it's going to be frustrating for 3 time, but actually have the way they jumped round.
Yeah, you know, she executed very, very well, and it kind of felt like it was a deliberate choice on speed. You know, because I feel like there were multiple places where there could have been a slightly shorter track or a little bit, you know, faster canter, but it seemed deliberate. She just wanted to canter around positively, accurately.
Get in the groove.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the thing, as you say, when you watch a good round, it is almost like you've put on the autopilot, because they will stay in that pace.
Yep.
And nice and effectively.
And once, you know, you can canter around like that, you know, going, you know, 2 and change seconds faster around that track is not that big of a change, you know.
Kathleen Driscoll, and is going to be next with Arome for the Plain Bay Farm, for the Prudhomme family. And for Kathleen, well, we've seen a lot of her so far this season, which is great to see. She jumped in the Gold Cup last year at the American Gold Cup in Traverse City with this horse as well. She won Grand Prix up there, including the Maya Grand Prix with Arome as well. She finished up leading rider there too throughout the I think it's about 13, 14 weeks of competition through Traverse City. You're often up there as well. And she's a rider that's really worked her way through. She went and worked for Katie, came in as groom basically, then
as actually a groom.
As actually as the groom. She wanted the opportunity. They said, She was put forward and said, this girl has got talent. And after some negotiation...
Dropped a stirrup.
Whoop. She got it back. Again, doesn't look disturbed by that.
Nope, nope. You got to just get your stirrup back and keep going. You know, if you sit on that, it's only going to affect you more.
Just leans on that first of the golden fences. Just on the 4 so far for Catherine Driscoll and Roman. Again, like I say, she's starting to get more opportunities in the 5 stars, which is great, because she's a real fighter in the classes.
Absolutely, absolutely. She has all those pieces. It's just experience at this level.
Yeah. Whoops.
You know, takes time. You know, it takes time to have, you know, continue that composure throughout the course. It's not the same as, you know, a 3-star.
But again, there, as much as that didn't finish well, she could see there was a problem.
Yep.
She tried to do something about it. It just didn't work out.
Exactly. You know, you know, there were some issues, but at the same time, she's there the whole time instead of just, you know, passenger, just like hoping for the best.
Kathleen Driscoll completing their round on a score of 8 at 77.52. That was the early rail for them at the Golden Horses Heads. 2 clears so far with McLean Ward and Dara Kenny. This a bit earlier on the round. So this is a line that's riding nicely from the MS fence down to the skinny at the next at fence 6. Again, 162, 160 just over there. So it's not a giveaway. And this is going to be a really interesting one to see as well if you haven't been following too closely. Let's introduce you to the Artemis Equestrian Farms Major Tom. And went superbly through Nations Cup last year, whether it was Le Bourg, whether it was in St. Gallen, and then got some good championship experience down at the Pan Am Games as well for this Belgian-bred gelding by Vagabond de La Pomme, with one of the best riders in the world, who's won 3 World Cup finals, Olympic title, world title. We can go on for quite some time about that. 4th in the Aachen Grand Prix, though, this pair, in top 5 in La Baule, to give a little bit of context for them. I mean, just such a tidy horse.
It really is. It's so much fun to watch. And this is one of those horses that all the other riders are like, oh, you know, I really want that horse. You know, there's some horses that you see go around and jumping well and clear, but you're like, I don't know if I really want to ride that one. This one, people, you know, just love.
And he's, you know, he's smart enough in this business. He's been in long enough. He's been just quietly bringing Tom on in the right places and not putting over pressure, but enough pressure to be able to do this.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And you can see the benefit of that now is, you know, they've got such a good partnership, and they're jumping unbelievable. Very well done.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Just again, time-wise, going to be a little bit closer. Should just about get there. But it's just going to be, very close. And he was 77.90. Rolex fence down, and you can see exhalation of air at the end was just so close to having a top round, and he's going to be disappointed with that.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's so hard, that last fence. And
didn't look too wrong.
It didn't look too wrong, and the horse started to set down just a hair too early.
Well, frustrating there for Rodrigo Pessoa, finishing on the 4 at 77.90 for Rodrigo. So 2 clears as we hit the halfway stage of this $385,000 Lugano Diamonds 5-star Grand Prix tonight. Major Tom looking pretty major for the rest of it.
Yep, looked super. You know, obviously disappointing, you know, for today, but at the same time, looking forward, you know, he's in a really, really good place.
Looking very good indeed. So as you see, we can take a very short break here. These are the 2 clears to date, Dara Kenny and McLean Ward, as the clears so far. So we've hit the halfway point, 20 gone. And we're going to take a little breather and possibly catch up with Dara Kenny as well. But our thanks to those that are huge parts of presenting our broadcast here as well. They include the USCF and Lugano Diamonds too. We're going to be back as well, Dodd Technologies too, bringing great technology to our events, and US Equestrian and USCF Network as well as part of our rundown. Of course, tonight's presenting sponsor, Lugano Diamonds as well. Head to their website, luganodiamonds.com. We take a little break. We're back in a few moments' time.
My first goal when I decided to be a professional, it's to become like the best horsewoman I can be. It's really important for me to find the balance with my family, with the horses, that is my passion. Work with the horses every day to do what I love. I used to have like one passion was the horses, and now I have two with my daughter. So I really want to have this balance in my life. I'm Marie Ecart, I'm a professional show jumper representing France, and I'm Lola's mom. Be mindful, be present, turn on your brain.
The horse, the ultimate athlete, the best friend, the teammate. Once wild, they now place their unquestioning trust in us. At Keyflow, we hold a deep appreciation that horses choose to grant us humans the privilege to keep and to care for them. We knew horse feed could be better, so we made it better. Better for those who need power and endurance to fuel performance. Better for those who need the best start in life to reach their potential. Better for those who need the vitality to tackle new adventures. And better for those who seek longevity because they have more wisdom yet to share. Through science and innovation, we've developed a range of feeds that are easier for horses to digest, that deliver more nutrients, and that require lower feeding rates. Keyflow feeds, redefining equine nutrition because horses rely on us.
Welcome back. Our presenting sponsor tonight of our $385,000 Grand Prix, Lugano Diamonds, creating a collection of equestrian-inspired wearable works of art. Head to their website to see those wonderful pieces at luganodiamonds.com, or if you're here on site, head to the International Club, and over there you can see them in the flesh. And we're bringing you streaming, we're bringing technology, and our thanks to Dodd Technologies as well, industry leaders in creative design and technology support services for sports, entertainment, corporate and special events as well. Head to their website too, doddtechnologies.com, to find out more. Thank you to them, and we'll be rejoining the action in a few moments' time.
Yeah? I fell. Okay, there's bandages in the cabinet. I'm bleeding. Grab 2.
Sheba, what cats want?
Misty?
You know this person?
Is your cat getting too cool? Give him Temptation's treats.
And welcome back, and we are in partnership with US Equestrian and the USEF network as well, where you can see many of the big competitions throughout the year and all across the United States, not just here in Wellington as well. And our thanks to their kind support again in partnership with the events here at Wellington. And Lugano Diamonds, our presenting sponsor of tonight's $385,000 Grand Prix as well. Their website, luganodiamonds.com. We're well into the class. Carl Cook alongside me. Carl, 2 clears so far, McLean Ward and Dara Kenny. What is the little nugget you've gleaned from tonight so far?
Look, I don't think it's a nugget. You know, the time allowad's been a factor sometimes. The triple's been a factor sometimes. 11AB's been a factor sometimes. 8AB. So the last fence, there's been...
It's starting to spread.
It's spreading. I think 11AB is still the main challenge point, but there's been rails all over.
Absolutely, and sign of a good course. We're going to find out what Dara Kenny had to say, because he is down with Danny. Very good evening to Danny Waldman. And so, well, Danny, we're going to catch up with her again in a few minutes' time. Just having a small technical issue there, but she's with Dara. She'll give us a feedback on what he says in a few minutes as well. And from our tractors from Kubota, just completing the little preparation of the surface, as they do here, and looks in absolutely tip-top form. Carl and I discussing those 2 clears. So, we just said Dara, McLean, that's playing in nicely. You know, everybody always wants to put numbers on the clears. I'm going to just throw it out there and say 8. But, you know, this is the next strength group, because we talked about this again in the Jumper Grand Prix showing the run-up here. It's reverse order of that qualifying from the WEF Challenge Cup that we're into now for this part of the class. So we're going reverse order. Ben was the winner of the WEF Challenge Cup, Ben Mayer, who goes last. There's going to be more out of this group.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's just the structure that it is. You know, you would expect Dara to have a very good round, and McLean, and they did, but there's a lot of big names coming.
A lot of big names coming. Let's pull a few out of those. Let's open the envelope here, Carl. I picked out Eugenio Garza and Contago. What do you think? I've got it right, wrong?
No, I think he definitely he has a serious chance there. I think with this horse's stride, I think 11A is going to be a challenge, but the rest of it, you know, he and that horse are very, very capable.
The Carl Cook pick in our Grand Prix show in the lead-up as well was Kent Farrington.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on great form, and I believe that, you know, he's also quick partnership, so the time allowed won't be an issue, and I think he has a serious shot.
Has a very good shot indeed. Ben Mayer, of course, the world number 2, will go last as well with Anjou de Gressien. Scott Keach, let's not look past him, the Australian, jumped 2 super rounds in the qualifier as well. You were watching that, really tidily put together.
Yep, very good. He, you know, it looked very composed, it looked very deliberate, and you know, he gave a really good run at it in the jump off, and you know, if they're in the similar form as 2 days ago, you know, they got a shot.
They certainly do have a shot, and Richie Fogel that we mentioned in there with United Touch, will come onto that horse again. We ran over that in detail in the run-up, but again, horse with a huge stride, great ability, and we're going to see how that works. And we're going to go and catch up with Danny Waldman as well in just a few moments' time to get the thoughts of Dara Kenny. She has got the rundown from him, and of course McLean Ward as well as part of the clears. So Danny, what did Dara have to say to you?
Yeah, I spoke to Dara, and he said, you know, it's very tricky out there, that last line especially, like we've been seeing. They're struggling coming into the double. They're coming out of the turn to that oxer before it, and they're trying to get a good ride, but they are just struggling to get up that 4 strides. And he said, look, the 2 clears that we see now are the 2 oldest horses in the class, 17 years old, with the strongest riders. So, you know, it is very, very difficult out there.
Danny, yes, it is not a walk in the park, as many will know. You've been out there, Carl. You've been rolled up, sleeves out with the cavalry in battle there. It's never an easy win here in Wellington.
No, it's not. And I think it was, a good point that Danny made about, the horses that are more mature are tending to do better. I do think that is a, more general trait here for Saturday Night Lights,
yes.
jumping under the lights, that sort of thing. But you do already trend that way.
You want some mileage.
Yeah, but the mileage where the horse, because in that combination coming into 11A, you need a horse with experience to not sit down too early, to stay relaxed, to be composed and say, yeah, I can jump this.
Brazil starts us back in. In fact, we're going to Tiffany Foster, actually. It was Brazil on my list. We're going to Tiffany Foster and Battle Cry, because that's definitely the Canadian out there with the Artisan Farms and Kent Farrington's Battle Cry, which, if you followed along, she won the NetJets Grand Prix here a few weeks ago as well, and was Danny Wallman's pick for tonight too, and rightly so. I mean, a number of riders are very excited about Battle Cry, Carl.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about, some of the most mature horses in the class to, a very, a horse at the beginning of its career, but, you're seeing all the signs that would get you excited about this pairing and this horse. Oh, she had a foot on the wall.
Ooh.
Oh, that's unfortunate. She did give quite a positive ride to that second fence, making sure that, the horse didn't back off. And, those blocks on top of that wall are, very, very light. And we joke sometimes that, a little light breeze and it blows over.
But unfortunately, a light touch, and it does, because we can see that little gap on top of the wall. Not so easy to spot. But our judges obviously have, eagle-eyed as they are up there. We were talking about this in the run-up as well. It's going to be interesting to see how this horse handled it, moving into a 5-star Grand Prix here from a 4-star success, which is close to this, but it's another step up again.
Yeah, and both the wall and 8A, not any big error or big issue, just a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and this is great experience for them.
Just going to drop the final fence as well. Takes it to a score of 20, 77-1-2 for Tiffany Foster and Battle Cry. But as we were saying a little bit earlier on, I mean, Battle Cry just turned 10 for the world number 17. In fact, she's the highest lady ranked rider. But let's just have a little look at the wall. It was just a little fraction hesitation before it.
Yeah, a little bit. There was a slight drift to the right off the ground. And I think, a lot of times, especially with the younger horses like that, when you have a couple of rails, and the riders, well, they tend to get a little bit distracted and a little bit, where if you compare the first half of the course to the second half, you could just see there was just it was so composed in the beginning, and at the end it just kind of looked like a little bit distracted. But taking nothing away from them, that this horse is a serious horse, and Tiffany is an amazing rider, and that's only going to make them better.
Lily Keenan now, and Lily with Argand de Belliard for the Chanzonet Farm as the French bred gelding by Milord Katako. Plenty of experience with this horse for Lily as well. Through, of course, 2 World Championships in 2022. And she was a winner of the Ottawa 5-star Grand Prix last year as well. Trains with McLean Ward, home base here as well. Actually reserved for the Pan Ams as well as for the squad there. Came down and was supporting.
Yep. No, they've been together for a number of years, and they've jumped some of the biggest tracks, and it's a great partnership. Really, really great. We're going from a little bit of a younger, greener horse to a much more mature horse, so you can, back-to-back see.
Yeah, 14 years of age compared to, say, just come out of the 9-year-old year. Touch there.
But a lot of times, with these good horses, those little touches are actually good things. Because it helps the horse adjust a little bit more, and helps the rider as well to be like, "Ooh, I needed a little bit more here," or it's jumping tonight. Hopefully,
she's come through that well, but I'm just not sure about the time.
Oh yeah.
Not sure about.
In
fact, I'm not sure about the time. I'm sure of the time. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you could see her cut to the second to last, but that is something you could see throughout the course. It was we talked about it a little bit with Adrian earlier on. Yeah. It just looked like that was the goal. Like she rode the way she wanted to, but it was just not fast enough.
Well, it leaves them with 3 time there for Lily Keenan. We've got Jordan Coyle on 2, Adrian Silict on 3, Lily Keenan on 3. They make up 3, 4 and 5 on the field so far. They would expect to be further down a little later on. We've had 3 of them on 4 faults, 4 of them on 8 and 2 on a 0 score. Dermot Lennon of Ireland. Those that will remember, this was the man that won the World Championship in 2002 in Jerez on Liscargo. European team gold year before as well. He was competing down in Mexico as well on the tour down there. It's a very good list of shows there for 5 stars into the latter part of last year. Just in from Spain. Been here for about a week now for Dermot. But say he's had some horses out here across this side of the water, including this one, Millview Cicero, 10-year-old Irish bred horse by Cicero Z for Dermot here. And again, nice to have another class rider part of the field here, Carlin. Just, again, not so sure there.
Yeah, it looked like it kind of saw the reflection from the light and kind of paused off the floor. And it, you know, killed its forward momentum when it does that, making that back rail real far away.
Dermot now keeping things nice and put together. Just going to try and keep it at the 4. As I say, this is a big experience for this horse. It's not going to have seen this arena under the lights before like this.
Yeah, and you can see, you know, sometimes, you know, when you have a rail early on, you might up the speed a little bit, try and be a fast 4, but it just seems like he's sticking to his plan, and, you know, with the greener horse, that's...
He wants to give the horse a good experience,
Yep.
doesn't he?
Yep.
Absolutely. We'll have the first part of Lugano double down on a score of 8. Time-wise, is just going to tip over that as well. 2 down and 2 for time, 79.12 for Dermot Lennon and Millview Cicero. But again, for a horse that hasn't done that before, you wouldn't be overly disappointed.
No, you know, you can see him pat the horse after because, you know, I think he feels positively about it. You know, obviously he had 2 rails and he was a little bit slow, but, you know, that's good progress. It's a good outing. And, you know, both horse and rider learn a lot about each other from that round.
Yeah. So Dermot Lennon will miss out, goes a bit further down onto a score of 10. And Lugano Diamonds double claims another victim at the moment. Let's move on to our next. Cian O'Connor. No, it says Cian O'Connor. I don't think that is Cian O'Connor. I think that's Victor Luminati. It looks like he moved down the order by the looks of that.
Probably pulled a shoe or something in the warm-up.
ML Wellington Farms Idet, just testing out the eyesight this evening. And now for the Brazilian. Again, for him, this is going to be a step up for them here tonight on this 11-year-old. Second the Grand Prix in Heasteren over in Europe last year. Nations Cup previous to that in Morocco. Jumped the Nations Cup at Hickstead last year. But again, hasn't got a long list of experience in these classes.
No, but, you know, in those cases, you just have to really stay focused to what has worked in the past, because that's all you have to go on. I know that's obviously an obvious statement, but it's just so important to stay calm and ride the horse that you know, not the horse that you think you're going to have.
Over the line up to this double, just didn't reach far enough across.
Yeah, it looked like those strides, this last stride on takeoff to 8A and then through the double just didn't carry, didn't have, it looked a little bit like you're, you know, cantering through glue or something like that.
And it just starts to come away in the last part. Of course, we said, you know, 17 jumping efforts around here as well. They're not so used to that one. It suddenly becomes a long way round, but jumps well at the last. Yep. 12 jumping, 1 time, 78.96, total of 13 there for Victor Luminati and Idet. I say just coming out of order there, a little bit of a shuffle around. It was going well until this point.
Yeah, and I think you should feel pretty positively about that because, you know, the rails that he had were the most common rails that are being had out there, and they weren't made, the rails weren't from any, you know, glaring rideability issue or jump or anything like that. It was just, you know, what you would expect. Not from him, but like, it's just rails you'd expect to have and in the ways you'd expect to have them, but, you know, finished well,
and I think you should be positive about that.
Cian O'Connor of Ireland, we saw him top 3 into the class here 2 weeks ago, that Fidelity Investments Grand Prix. Nikki Walker's Eve Dwee, Nikki who rides with Cian, has done for a long time. She herself a successful rider. And with the now 10-year-old mare by Classic Bois Margaux for the Irish Olympian, bronze medal in London. And again, producing a terrific string. We saw him with Maurice here a couple of weeks ago. And again, has been building the string up. Jumped a number of the horses too on the Mexican series of shows back into October, November.
He laid over at my farm in California before we went to Thermal.
There we go. Did you get any inside information or not?
Oh, you know, there's not much more you learn at home. It's always interesting to see how people manage their horses, but you also see them at the shows, and a lot of times it all correlates.
Just again got a little bit of pace down there.
Yeah, and it really pushed through the triple combination as well, and so I think that was playing a factor. You know, the horse really goes forward in the doubles, or in the combinations, which in this case for 11AB is a good thing.
Yeah. Again, wouldn't have had a lot of experience, this horse, through to the 5-star level. Cian giving the horse a very good ride there with Eve Dwee, and just finishing on the 4 faults, 1 down at 76.79 for Cian O'Connor.
That was a good round. Very positive, you know. And I think that rail is not, you know, it's a small error. It's a, you know,
it's
small error that's easier to change than some glaring defect.
It's not an end of the world.
No, no.
Just going to leave them on the 4 faults. They go into 8th place so far. 4 faulters, we've had 4 of those. Not too many. Ashley Bond, Tim Gredley, Cian O'Connor, and Rodrigo Pessoa. Then down to the 8s, Nicola Philipparts, Nal Nasser, Margie Engel, and Kathleen Driscoll. 3 up there with time faults, 2 on a 0 score. Kristen van der Veen looks to make it 3 if she can. And for a rider at world rank 175 at the moment, but a prolific winner here in the United States. Headed over to Europe before now for the World Cup Finals 2. Kristen with the Bull Run jumpers. Bull Run's Jaira is the Holsteiner by Rico for Kristen with his 10-year-old. Finished well in the Grand Prix here back in December, top 5 there for this twice World Cup final rider. Took the 5-star Grand Prix with this horse in August of last year in Traverse City, which is another one that's right in the heart of the right time to be trying horses into the next level of Grand Prix there in the midsummer. But again, just turned 10 this year. Comes through the triple well.
Very, very well, and she's such a natural field rider.
Yeah.
You know, she just, the horses understand her and she understands them in such a way, you know, it's not, you know, some riders are very mechanic about their work, and she's just very much in a, you know, very good field. Natural. Yeah. A bit close on takeoff. I think we're only going to get 6 clear.
Okay.
That's my.
Put your neck out there. That's fine.
Big jump. Pulling in. You see how when she had fence 10 the way, you know, that everyone's trying to get it, she had it a little bit steadying, and it, you can see how much easier it jumps in that case. Beautiful. Oh.
Like we said when I got there, it was what is it across there? It's a big fence to finish up with, 185 distance across the last there. We're jumping the 5-star, that's what you can expect in there. So just finishing on the 4. It's going past the in-gate as well. As you say, some of those horses, again, like a younger one, little bit younger one coming into this at this point goes, oh, we're done. No, we're not.
Yeah, and, you know, you're at the end of the course, you've done, you know, the most challenging parts, you're a little bit tired, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's that...
Almost.
You got to really keep it all the way together. But no, she cantered around that nicely.
One that we picked out a little earlier was Eugenio Garza and the El Milagro Mexican ride of Contago, the gelding by Cornet Obolensky. Now 13 years of age, fourth in Spruce Meadows back in 2022 in the Masters Grand Prix there, that $3 million Canadian Grand Prix. Top 5 in Aachen last year as well, and so finished individually 11th at the Pan Am Games, and were very close to getting to a medal spot.
Yep, very close, and you know, the horse is only 13, but Eugenio and Contago have been together the whole time and have jumped a lot of rounds, and I'd put them very high on the experience list together.
And interesting, went up to Ocala last week, jumped into the lights there, just quietly, you know, get themselves prepared for this week. They've done very little. This is sort of them coming back after the Pan Am Games, which was November, but just taking things quietly.
Yep, and very well done. You know, I was talking to him earlier this week, and you know, just trying to slowly bring everything back for, you know, a really big and important year.
Yeah. And again, we caught up with him on WEF Weekly this week. If you want to see the full interview, you can head to Wellington International, whether it's a website or Facebook, to catch up with those with Eugenio. But this is, about to say, nicely put together so far.
Yeah, he just had a little bit more bend in that 5 stride, and that made it just a hair longer than he was expecting. And a 5. That was a successful 5.
Yeah.
And he's done that in the past. You know, the horse doesn't like to come flying into combinations, and so you will see him, when possible, add. He doesn't like come flying in, and he did that 5 beautifully. I think he'll be, you know, he's going to be, you know, pissed because he had a rail, but he should be happy because
a touch frustrated.
Because, but there were so many good things about that round.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're that close, and you also feel like you're so far. But you know, they're in a good place.
But overall, it was a good round.
Yeah. And for what's to come, he's in a great place.
Absolutely. Here we go. Sorry to re-show it, Eugenio, but this is where it comes through the double nicely enough.
You can see just a little bit hanging off. You know, a little bit more bend, and that makes it just a hair flatter to a very tall vertical.
Erin Ballard of Canada and the World Championship rider with the Lanfetter and the Esperanza imports Gakia gelding that's Dutch bred by Spartacus, and one of the busiest riders out there on the circuit as well. Finished well Libido last season as well in the Monterey Grand Prix too. But this is her real go-to partner for the big classes as well. Gakia, now 13 years of age as well, absolutely in the prime. And this is where the Canadian could step up here.
Yeah, and you can see 43 classes, and Eugenio and Contago, 43 classes. So, you know, if you're looking at comparing other horses, that's a lot of experience.
But looking at the stats for those two in terms of jumping clear rounds, Contago 42%, Gakia 28%.
I was noting overall experience.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's
and drops that fence. Unfortunately, we haven't seen drop too many times before.
No. Much more direct route than Eugenio had to that vertical. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, again, that's going to be a little bit frustrating. Oh no, we're way off there. We've got some work to do down this line.
Yeah, you know, everyone wants to have that long distance to fence 10, and she just waited just a hair too long in the turn to it before pushing, and got too long.
No, not happening the last either, I'm afraid. Erin just says no.
Yeah.
Not going to try it, going to retire.
Yeah, look, you know, it was just jumping the last fence one more time. There's no reason to, you know, I'd go to the warm-up ring, jump a fence or two, small vertical, and
so, unfortunately, Erin Ballard heads on out. Spencer Smith now for the Ashton Farms with Keeneland, the gelding by Carmina Z, horse that actually came from the Enda Carroll team. And for Ashford Farm. It's with Ashland Farm. So came through Jana Vargas, who was riding that before. She's done very successfully, producing a host of horses. And going to be really interesting to see how Keelan gets on here. The 11-year-olds for Spencer, of course, we've seen him many times with Theodore Marseille and Yada Hero Z, doing it successfully so far. This is a little bit of a change for them. Finished top 10 in the NetJets Grand Prix there, that 4-star a few weeks ago. So this is the time to say, okay, let's go.
Absolutely, but as we've seen with a lot of the others, it's a completely different level, completely different questions. But, you know, there's so much, Spencer has so much experience. He's obviously young, but he's so experienced.
And has ridden a lot of horses, again, coming from a young, a little bit of a thought there.
But you see he was ready.
Yes.
You know, he was immediately ready. He wasn't in the back seat, and that's what resulted in a jumping clear.
Again, starts to smooth things off, just getting
nice and relaxed. And that's hard when you have a fence 2 and 3 that way. In a very quick turn back to the triple, to just relax and just take the triple as it comes and not overdo it.
Now settling into the round for Spencer. Again, has had super experience with the number of horses that go with the family team over the years, running a lot of different horses. Great experience for him. He's been over in Europe as well, won a Grand Prix on the Global Champions Tour, going back. A little bit of encouragement there because they're coming down to the water.
And the horse has a little bit of a smaller stride. You can see the direct route he took from 7 to 8. Nice going distance to fence 10. You can see how forward that 4 was for him.
Be just about okay for time, finishing on the score of 4 there at 77.69 for Spencer Smith and Keeneland.
A lot of good things.
Yeah,
a lot
absolutely.
of good things there. You know, we know that line's difficult. It's harder the shorter stride you have, and this horse has very short stride. I don't know if he'll look back and say, I wonder about trying 5 there.
But again, for them, you know, they found, you know, early on a little bit of hesitation in there. Then they settled, and he was at the wall, whereas you say he was just ready for them to have Keelan to have a little bit of a think about that.
Yep, but he was ready, and I think, you know, they'll come away really positively.
René Dittmer now of Germany, and he has had a good introduction to life here in Wellington. This is Mark Maness's Corsica the 10th, because he won the Grand Prix here back in December as well, won the 4-star Grand Prix. And René had a super run in the American shows and the Indoor World Cup circuit, won classes in Washington, won 2 classes there, was 2nd in the World Cup qualifier, top 5 in Toronto, 4th place in the World Cup in Lexington. Partner Chloe Reed competed a little bit earlier on, both through the stables of Marcus Bierbaum, of course Meredith, where they met. And as this has been a really interesting pair to see, as I say, they did so well in the fall.
And looks really smooth, really clean, smooth, nice and efficient back to this triple bar, and really well done, planted the right distance, the right direction. 8 comes up nice to the double. Just needs the exact same turn he had to the triple bar to this Oxer. Beautiful. That was because he did it so well. The horse just kind of sat down a little bit in the air and didn't, you know, release all the way.
Going to take them to 4 faults as well for René Dittmer and Corsica the 10th. We're 30 deep into the 39 in total in this class. We're still on 2 clears with McLean Ward and Dara Kenny at the moment. René Dittmer second quickest, if you like, of the 4 faulters, goes into 7th place at the moment with Corsica. Gets across there, but here this line plays its hands.
Almost jumped that Oxer a little bit more like a vertical, because he was, you know, I think focused too much on B. But that, you know, that's something that comes with experience with the horse.
Giorgio Bucci of Italy, the Iron Horse Farms, Hantano for PG, as is known on the circuit. The Italian rider, 5 European Championships behind him. He's been over here in America, competing here in Wellington and up in Sarasota in the last few weeks as well. Former podium finish on the likes of the Monaco Grand Prix. Again, for a long time, part of championships for the Italians.
Had a little look down at fence 3 at that water tray, so a little bit more positive into the triple.
New combination here as well. That was from Karina Fredericks from the Iron Horse Farm.
Such a light rub. Those skinnies are so light.
Now, that we've talked about that a little bit, that distance they should cope with well. What did you glean from that?
If anything, it was, you know, more a directional thing because you're going towards the back gate there. But it was such a light rub, you know, the causes of those are, it's only going to be something small.
Just a few fences starting to roll up for them, and so say step up for Hantano here for Pier Giorgio Bucci. He knows the horse enough to decide whether we've done enough tonight, and this decided that is the case.
And very good decision. You know, he probably, you know, in his head he's thinking, what good is going to come if I keep going tonight? You know, and you know, we're trying to keep, you know, we've got a big year and we need to take the positives and not press our luck.
This is going to be one lots want to see. It's Shane Sweetnam and the Gizmo partners James Can Cruz. Irish bred gelding by Canaan. We've seen the horse a number of times for the world, number 12. High up in the percentages of the clear rounds as well. We looked at quite a few of those in the run-up as well, and our stats from Jumper too, and again was down to a 1.8 I think it was in terms of the average faults for this horse, which means it's well under a fence down, so it's such great consistency for this horse that goes back to cruising. So we're going to keep it a bit of Irish breeding in there as well, as we see out of CSF Telly Cruise. So cruising has to get in there somewhere with an Irish horse. It's obligatory, I think. The great cruising, of course, with Trevor Cole going back. And, this is one that is going to be one to see because they won the American Gold Cup on this horse as a 9-year-old. Last year, won the National Horse Show Grand Prix as well, their first World Cup qualifying win as well. Shane is a former 5-star Grand Prix winner here with Alejandro as well. Second in Dinar, third in the Geneva Grand Prix before now, going back to 2022. And second in the Week 9 Grand Prix here last year. Just a little tickle in the middle.
A little nudge, but I think for a horse like this, that's, you know, that's a good thing. It helps later on. Ooh. You see how much jump the horse has, even with that approach. It's still like, okay.
And I mean, this is the first 5-star he's pulled them out for. He skipped the Fidelity Grand Prix the other day. Jumped just into the...
Nearly jumps him loose in the air.
Yeah. Just jumped in the 150s, 145s. Just
look at how
going.
it just...
Yeah,
it skips through. You know, you have people sitting on that back rail, and he just skips through like it's 120. Very efficient, nice big jump. You see how the horse didn't sit down on the back rail like some of the other horses are in that combination. Just jumps it normal.
Time's okay.
Does
jumps okay.
Does 5 down the last.
Everything's okay. Yeah. It gives us the third clear round. Shane Sweetnam and James Can Cruz. All is okay with the world now. James Can Cruz is into the jump off.
Yep, and you know You could tell it wasn't the smoothest round. You know, there was a little...
for them.
Yeah, a little movement here, a little movement there, but there's just so much in the tank for both, you know, so much experience in Shane, and that horse is just so powerful that, you know, it's not an issue.
Just looking super over the planks, and then just down to the last, as I say, 185 spread here.
You know, leaves out a stride, most people doing 6.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen a 7 here or there, and he just canters the 5.
Luis Fernando de Rathbal, 33rd on the order of 39 in our class here tonight. Victoria Hetemata of Panama's Condara is the mare by Conthagos, now 12 years of age for Luis. Actually, this was the horse he rode at the Pan Am Games as well last year. Individual 15th there, owned by Victoria, who actually rode there herself as well. Past individual 4th that same year last year as well in the Central American Games, and Team Bronze 2 on that occasion. It built up a really nice partnership. It was good to see So many good partnerships coming out of the Pan Am Games last year as well, of course.
He had a really good run last year.
Yep.
And, he's been riding this horse better and better as they get to know each other. It's smoother. It's much more composed.
Through the double now, just get in the right spot. Just enough.
Yeah, just enough. Get it right here. Very good.
No.
He did all the prep right.
I'm going to say,
he just
in the run-up, it didn't look as though going to be too much of an issue, but getting a little bit more ragged to the last, and he's going to have that down. It's going to be a score of 8, 74-17 for Luis Fernando Larrazabal and Condara this time around. As you say, the move up to the Lugano double looks okay.
Yeah, and especially coming into a double like that, you kind of err on the side of maybe too much than not enough. And you can see he rode it all the way down to the base. Maybe because he did fence 10 so well, he didn't have to be so forward coming in. But again, if you're going to err on any side there, it's err on the side of just of a little too much.
Yeah.
Not too little.
Well, either way, unfortunately, it didn't come together in the end. A lot going to be looking for this one too. Richard Fogel and United Touch as well. Horse with Julius Peter Sinak too, who's had some very good horses through the years. And Deauville S with Laura Kraut, if I remember right. She got some good results out of that combination. But this one is back to the line of touch of class as well, with Lux Z in there as well. And so we talked about this again in the jumper pre-show. A horse with tremendous stride, but not always the easiest ride as well. I mean, just because he's got so much power and so much to work with.
He's unbelievable. I mean, just look at it jump. But, it needs a rider that really rides the horse without trying to change it, because a horse like this, with this type of stride, it's so difficult to ride that big stride that you want to change it. And the more you change it, the less it's going to be. You have to just let a horse like this be who they are. And it's really challenging. It's easy to say, but Richie just does an unbelievable job with this horse. Canner's down there in 7.
Yeah.
And
again, we talked about this horse's stride earlier. I mean, you're going to have distances that you're going to go, it's 4, and this horse just goes, it's 5, and this horse will go down on 4.
And this is the first person to do 7 into that double.
Yeah.
It walked a little bit of a long 7, but after a triple bar, you're never going to do 7, and he just canners the 7.
It was sort of an option, but not many have gone for it. But it was generally safer on the 8.
And look, that really long 4 was borderline normal for him.
Time is not going to be an issue.
Ooh, drift off the floor.
Yeah, just at the last, but they are in the mix. Richard Fogel and United Touch S will give us clear round number 4 from the world's number 11. That's going to be exciting to see. So we've got Richie Fogel, we've got Shane Sweetner, McLean Ward, Dara Kenny. The cream is coming to the top here in the Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix so far, and a lot are going to be excited to see that. Again, just almost bent the line into there.
Yep. Because it's just, gives you just a hair more space. You got this distance so well, and then you can see he can basically just sit up where you're seeing so many people flapping and yeah, beautiful.
Take us into our final 5 here. Andrew Bournes and the QBS Equestrians and his own Sea Top Blue. Horse that we've seen through Nations Cup here in Florida before now, and on to winning Nations Cup at Canada as well, headed over to Europe too.
It looked like the horse got a little bit distracted with the water tray or something and had a washy jump. That's
former winners of the NetJets Grand Prix here, second in the Traverse City 5-star in August last year on Major League. And again, reminder, this was the top 5 on the WEF Challenge Cup earlier on this week as well.
Andrews had, I think they bred this horse, didn't they? Or he's
certainly had it for pretty well all the way through, yeah.
So you can see how he's just settling it down a little bit, not overriding. Oh,
yeah.
That's just a hard combination if you come in a bit too slow.
Yeah, you say they have to put the engine on, whereas United Touch didn't think about it.
Yeah, it's complete, it's so clear what you see, both ways.
So it is their score of 8, 20th position, 77.39, 2 down, 8 faults for Andrew Bournes and C Top Blue.
What's interesting about this course, we were talking about it earlier, how delicate it is and whatnot, but the horses who have jumped the best tonight are the scopier horses.
Yes.
Still careful, obviously, but the ones with a lot more power are being much more successful than the most careful ones.
Just flattens off through the plank. Let's go to Daisy Farish. And the lanes end, show jumping for Sales, Kentucky. Allwell SCF for the Spy Coast Farm, bred through their program with their stallion Dictator. And this gelding for Daisy. Again, pairing that haven't done this level before. Horse's first 5-star Grand Prix here. Family steeped in the racing world as well through grandfather William and father Bill at Lane's End.
Jumped super rounds 2 days ago.
Absolutely. So there's another step forward for Daisy. Won her first Grand Prix in Traverse City a season or so ago. And now making another big step up.
See, she started just a little bit underpowered, but now she's getting a little bit into a groove. Now you're on course, it's flowing along.
So a little ripple of the rail on the back of the triple.
Oh.
And
she was rode good.
Yeah, she was working to get out of there, wasn't she?
She was there. She was, giving it, everything she had. The horse was trying. It was just, it's a hard combination.
So coming home on the 8, this Rolex line. And the last fence as well.
I think there's a lot of positives to take away from that.
Let's give them to me then.
Well, I mean, the horse wasn't really backed off.
Yeah.
Wasn't surprised or scared. Didn't seem overfaced at all. The rails that came down were, common ones, so it's not something that, that was from some egregious mistake. I think it's just small adjustments, them getting to know each other, more experience. But it was a composed round.
Absolutely. So top 3 from the qualifier, reverse 3 of those coming in here. Scott Keach jumped 2 lovely rounds with the Southern Cross Equestrian of O'Connor's Nobel de la Chapelle. He's been to the Olympics, not just in jumping, but going back to eventing as well. Jumped in Rio in 2016 on the jumping side. Based in O'Connor since 2009. Again, just trying to get that turn, and if you don't shape it enough.
If you don't shape it enough, you get to the front rail. If you shape it too much, you have time faults. It's a very
difficult
tough turn to get right, and especially when those turns are kind of small. Once you make your choice, you can't really amend it. With the bigger turns, you can kind of amend if you've not done enough or you've done a little bit too much. This is a very nice, well done round so far. He's going to be...
That's a shame, because they've jumped some really good rounds this week.
A lot to be happy about, but we were talking about Eugenio, you're just So close. I was just right there, but that was super.
Yeah, they're second quickest of the 4 faults. They're in the money in 9th place. I know he'd rather be further up the money, but just that one fence down coming into triple combination for Scott Keach and Noble de la Chapelle, but they're very much going in the right direction for the Australian Championship rider. And so close to their 3rd clear of the week, but just drops a rail. Now, two big pairings to come at the tail end here, the world number 2 and the world number 4. Kent Farrington, the world number 4, with Hetty McNerney's Landon by Comme il faut plus, which goes back to the line again of Comme il faut as well, back to Retina. Of course, twice gold medal when he calls 2 different riders there as well. But gold medal for Landon now with the Pan American Games. Of course, that terrific team there, and Kent Farrington going away with the individual silver. You were part of that. Wonderful rounds from Laura Kraut there as well, just to deliver things to get US qualified for the Olympic Games, and McLean Ward as well, all coming together as a squad. And Kent with Landon. Now we're 11 years of age, in the prime. Ready
This
to
is
go.
a good pairing. You know, the horse really matches, you know, Kent's style. Kent matches this horse's style. A little bit of a reach there, but no problem.
We were watching some of the rounds back earlier on, again in the lead up to this, of how precise Kent and Ben are.
Yep.
Ben Mayer that comes up next.
And that's so helpful for these horses, because then they, you know, they know what to expect coming in. You know, they're not they're not worried about getting too close or too far, and they can really work that muscle memory.
The accuracy of these guys is so good, which is why they're 2 in the world's top 5.
Ooh.
Oh. Just again, there was just that fraction of
yeah.
I'm looking for the right word, but on
you
that
know,
kind
he
of having
was,
a look back at it.
You know, we would kind of say, like, you know, he was riding the double before he got there, but
Yeah,
he had to,
because
because he had to set up that oxer right coming into the double, and you know, I think he gave the ride he had to do. You know, there's always minor tweaks you can do to adjust. He'd probably say this or that wasn't the best, but he had to come at it like that. I don't know. You know,
just got a little unsettled in there.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit close in the distance, but you know, again, a little bit. You still want to be going, even if you're a little bit too close. You know, it'd be worse if you had the right distance, but you were a little bit normal. So, you know, that's the way the line is set. Is stressing that type of ride.
Well, very interesting, because we were talking about a little bit earlier on the potential showdown between Kent Farrington and Ben Mayer. Still potential showdown with Ben and Derek Kenny, McLean Ward, Shane Sweetnam and Richard Vogel, which is pretty tantalising as well. World number 2 is last to go with Pamela Wright, Charlotte Rosters and his own Anjou de Grecienne. And now with his 10-year-old gelding, won the London World Cup qualifier a few weeks ago at the age of 9. Superbly there up against fellow teammate Scott Brash on that occasion. Absolutely foot perfect into that jump off, and he qualified with Dallas Vegas Betty. And Ben with just a wonderful string of horses to go to. It's been a few years in the making now, and they've done it very successfully. Let's see if he can produce our last to then put us into the lineup. We'd have USA, 2 for Ireland, 1 for Germany, and fingers crossed for the last. Oh. Combination well.
You just see it looks like he's just, you know, cantering a little fence at home. You know, he's just sitting there, and
it's again finding that pace that they're used to, and that, as you say, that's where the training at home has come, where so much of that has come together.
And that flow where the horse is cantering under you. You know, the horse is not trying to speed up or slow down. The power is staying consistent. You know, that's what you're going for, is that horse under you with all the power you need. Take a little breath here.
Oh, no. So both Ben and Kent out.
Interesting, because it looked, he did that line so calmly and with like so much intent. I think he'll look back and say, you know, he needed a little bit more, you know, a little bit more. Yeah.
Total of 8 plus 1, 78.05 Ben Maher on Anjou de Roycian. Shame.
Yep, that was a shame. But again, you know, a greener horse, we've been seeing that's a challenge for people today. I think there's tons of positives.
Look down the line here too.
You can see he's kind of just sitting there, a little bit of support. You know, it just looked like there's maybe a hair more.
Yeah. Very little the difference, but unfortunately the world number 2 not in there and the world number 4 not in there as well. There are 4 in there though for the jump off, and these are the 4. Darragh Kenny will start off with Vidal Carcello for Ireland, McLean Ward with Callis to wave the home flag, Shane Sweetener with James Cancruz for Ireland, and Richard Vogel will go last for Germany. That looks pretty tasty as well. Didn't get to the 6 we maybe predicted. Especially losing Kent Farrington and Ben Maher on the tail end there as well. But, you know, what is a prediction other than just throwing it out there and see what happens? So, our thanks to US Equestrian and USEF Network as well, who are very much in partnership with bringing all the big events here from Wellington too. And a huge thanks to them for being a part of it again this year and expanding that. And of course, today's $385,000 Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix as well. You can head to luganodiamonds.com to find out more too. We'll take a very short break, and we'll be back after that for the rundown into the jump off here for this Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix tonight, Saturday night in Wellington.
I share my life with them. I think we're lucky that we get to do what we do, and I've never looked at it as a sacrifice.
For me, being on a horse is the one place I can truly be myself.
They do have a language, you just have to learn how to speak it.
Remember that they feed off of our energies, and so if you're in a good mood or you're happy, they'll reflect that back.
You meet people from all over the world. You have friends that share the same passion for horses, and I think that's something very special.
Horses is the only constant thing in my life, and it will always be there when I need it.
For me, it's connection.
They make me who I am.
It's very hard to explain. It's magical.
It's just who we are.
In one word, it's freedom.
For me, it's everything.
Lugano Diamonds are presenting sponsor, creators of a collection of equestrian-inspired wearable works of art, and certainly artistry still to come from tonight's $385,000 Lugano Diamonds class. And are streaming throughout here, the Winter Equestrian Festival, brought to you by Dodd Technologies, industry leaders in creative design and technology support, and have worked in many industries, the NBA, NFL, and the FEI World Cup finals, and are part of the technology supporters here now at the Winter Equestrian Festival. We're back in a few moments' time to build up to the jump-off.
Making your dog your ring bearer is one way to show your love.
Car part. It's just a car part, look it.
But delicious Caesar canine cuisine is a better way.
With NetJets, travel will always be personal. We do everything it takes to make every flight exceptional. Every single detail of your experience is personalized, just for you. As our standard is not just to meet our definition of perfection, it's to exceed yours.
From playful puppy to adventurous adult, help keep them healthy. Iams for life.
It goes like this.
Well, welcome back in the build-up to the jump-off here for tonight's $385,000 Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix. Under the lights here, and brought to you in partnership with the US Equestrian and the USEF Network. Once again, our thanks to them, and USEF Network powered by clipmyhorse.tv as well. And Lugano Diamonds, our presenting sponsor of tonight's Showcase Grand Prix, and we're showcasing the very best of the sport. Really interesting 4 clears: McLean Ward, Shane Sweetnam, Richard Vogel, Dara Kenny, and some that just missed out on the 4 as well. A few hard luck stories in there that went so close. And Danny is down with one of those. We're going to hand you down to Danny Moorman.
Hey, Stephen, thank you. I'm here with Spencer Smith. Spencer, it was a difficult course out there and frustrating for faults for you. How'd it ride out there?
Yeah, it was difficult. I think when I walked, I thought it was quite an easy track, but actually, as it went on, it got, it looked tough. And I was pleased with my horse. I thought it jumped great. I made one little riding error, and it cost us,
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that rough line for everyone. What's going on with that?
Yeah, that's a 4-stride line. When I walked, I said it was a little forward, but not like that. It just rides so forward. I don't know if it's Liverpool before off the double that, keeps them, on the hind end a little bit, but it just rode really forward, and I have a great big stride, and it still was forward for me. So
you have a new horse sort of at this level. Tell us, what exactly do you think? Do you think the atmosphere makes a difference for this horse? Actually jumped great, I thought.
Yeah, I think this is a new horse, new to me. He's jumped this is his 3rd big 160. He's jumped 2 of them clear, and now 1 with 4 faults. He's super consistent. I feel like there's nothing he can't jump, and I really believe in him. So, like, when I walk, knowing I'm riding him, it seems easy. That's how it feels.
Yeah, well done. All right, back to you, Stephen. Thanks.
Thank you, Danny. And there's the competition clears. Those the confirmation of them. Dara Kenny, McLean Ward will go second. Shane Sweetnam and Richard Vogel last to go with United Touch, which is going to make things very interesting indeed. Wonderful lineup. Let's take a look at those and remind us who is coming up into that jump off. Dara Kenny gave us the first with VDL Cartello. Carl Cook is alongside me. Again, pretty solid for his Olympic ride.
Oh, beautiful. It was just beautiful. It was well composed, well done, accurate, smooth. It looks as you hope it to look.
Well, Dara Kenny, winner of the Grand Prix here 2 weeks ago for that Fidelity Investments 5-star. That was with Amsterdam. And winner of that same Grand Prix this time last year was this combination. And McLean Ward and Callis gave us the second of the clears. And this could well suit them going into this jump-off.
I think so, too. You got a lot of rollbacks. You got 3 rollbacks in the jump-off. And I think, McLean is so smooth on those turns.
The ever-consistent James Cancruz and Shane Sweetnam tonight, living up to their reputation so far. Again, with a solid 0 against their name. it would be very interesting to see, because he's just starting to ask a little bit more of this horse into the jump-offs.
Yeah, and we'll see how far he wants to push it and what chances he wants to take.
Rishi Fogel and, of course, United Touch, biggest ground coverer out there, but will this suit them?
He can cover a lot of ground in some of the lines here, but then those rollbacks, with so many of them, that might be tough for him.
It might well be tough. It is the final touches being made to the arena, and of course is about ready to go. But we're going to take a look at the Fidelity Investment sponsored animation of what that course is going to look like for the jump off, as well as we'll head down under the bridge and take you down what is coming up. So it is fences 1, 2 and 3 to kick off. As Carl says, we've got a good run here as they come up to the wall at fence 2. And then from there going back to fence 5, so 1, 2 and 5 to be exact from that side of things. And so over that Hermes fence with the little hedge underneath, and so it was the skinny. It's actually going to the full length 360 material for the jump off there, so it's not a skinny anymore. Roll back to new fence 15 this time to the Ethel M Chocolates fence, up to 16 new fence, of course, in front of the International Club now as the Ox there. And again, a little bit narrowed up there at 140, not a huge spread on there, so they still can get that turned back to 11A and B for the Lugano fence. And now it is just to the Rolex, what was plank. It's got a rail on top now as the final fence on course. Carl, your thoughts on that jump off? You said there's quite a few turnbacks in there, which would be interesting.
It's an interesting course because there's not much in the middle. It's either a tight rollback or a straight line. And, there's not much on, swooping turns or anything like that. So it's hard to have a horse that this is really suited for. You'll have a horse that's suited for the rollbacks, and then you'll have a separate horse that's suited for the straights. So it's going to be interesting which of those horses ends up being faster.
Derek Kenny to start us off, the world number 21 with the Heathman Farms VDL Cartello, looking for back-to-back 5-star wins. Like we said, that was his first 5-star Grand Prix win here in Florida just a couple of weeks ago. He's won plenty of Grand Prix here otherwise, but it would be nice if he could follow it up with a second. But first to go here makes things a little bit harder with still Fogel, Sweetnam and Ward to go as well. So, I mean, he's just going to have to push all the buttons here and put them under pressure, Carl.
Yeah, it's an interesting place going first because, you obviously want to go as fast as possible, but you want to go just fast enough to put pressure on people to increase their mistakes. If you try and go bullet fast right out of the gate, you a lot of times take too much risk and end up hurting yourself more than if you go one step down and use that to apply pressure.
Okay, lands there in around 18 seconds on the turn back here to the Ethel M Chocolates vertical. Whoop. Again, I mean, there's quite a bit of space there, Carl, to cruise up to this Mars Equestrian Oxer.
Yeah, you see he didn't take all the risk heading to the Mars.
Lugano jump in a very different scenario now without that approach from the previous, and Rolex fence to finish off. Takes them to 46-14. Derek Kenny, VDL Cartello. Set a good round.
Yeah, good round, but definitely you can go faster. He did 7 down to the last fence. I wonder if we see 6 at a United Touch, or James Ken Cruz is capable of that as well.
But do you feel, or the way I'm reading this, it's probably going to be more in this sort of areas as we're seeing there, the rollback from 2 to the MS.
I think there's more time to be saved in a rollback than in a straight line. So that's where I think this course is more suited to the tighter turner than the leaving out a stride in a straight line.
Prime, here we go, well number 8, McLean, Ward and Callis. This might be well up their street here. We will see. For the US rider, gets into that lovely rhythm again. Starts off with the Lugano fence straight up to the wall.
8, first round, most people are doing 9. A little bit quicker there, I think, than Dara. Yeah, they're doing 8 or 9 to 7.
Yeah.
Ooh, he was definitely
drove out of the corner there to back over to that fence again. The Mars fence now is not too wide. Now he's really going tight for this Lugano double.
Wow.
For McLean. Athletically through, doing everything they can, and looking good. He's going to get home.
Yeah,
and
you can see he's 4 seconds faster.
Yeah, 42.39, McLean Ward and Callis.
That was amazing. The double, you know, he got from the turn. He just ended up really, really short, but he, you know, helped off the floor. The horse fought for it. That was really well done.
Absolutely. We sort of thought this course might suit them.
Yeah,
it wasn't maybe as perfect as they would want, but I mean, it got the job done, and it was done excellently.
Yeah, this isn't very much, you know, a jump off that just flows along.
Yeah.
It very much kind of has little stops and starts, and, you know, it's another type of challenge.
McLean Ward leads the way, the American in front with Callis on 42.39, takes a chunk off. Now the two big contenders left, and again with only 4 in the jump off, it's, you know, it's turn your hat and go, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're in for some good money, whichever the way you lead it, but you want to be leading, which McLean Ward is. Shane Sweetnam, Gizmo Partners, James Can Cruz.
And that time for McLean really puts a lot of pressure on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if your goal is, you know, I need to win this class, that's a lot of pressure.
Where does he squeak a little bit? On McLean, we will see.
One fewer stroke than McLean did 8. Pretty quick on the turn after 2.
Straightens up for this vertical.
And he got that 7, you know, going. He didn't get down to it and had to hold, which helps that rollback happen faster.
Now he's chasing across the centre, just moves it up a gear, but again doesn't want to travel too far beyond this Mars fence, gets a good turn back in the territory of where McLean was in bravery there. Now final fence, 42.39 to beat. He's got to run to get it, and he might not. It's going to be 43.53. Shane Sweetnam and James Can Cruz.
He had 6 in his eye. He knew he had to try 6 to the last, but it's so hard, that angle. You're heading right at the wall, you know. I think we might see it with Richie.
We might see it with Richie. He's got the stride there. Let's have a little look. Good start there from Shane Sweetnam here to the wall, and the first rollback. And here to the Mars fence. This is where they're really showing the precision of this level.
Yeah, that gallop down to the correct distance at that speed, you know, it's not a normal distance. It's a lot farther away because of the speed you're carrying.
Final combination to go. Richard Vogel of Germany and United Touch S. This fabulous stallion. By Untouched with a touch of class, actually, on both sides of the breeding of this horse, and has certainly shown that in the successes so far. But we know if it was long and stretched out, it would suit them. How much will it suit them here? They've got to beat 42.39 from McLean Ward.
He has to do 7 in the first line, and then he has to leave out, you know, and everywhere else. And the 7 wasn't even that long for him.
No.
And very quick on the rollback. Very good. You can see how slow that 7 was compared to McLean.
Good turn again from Richie. Launches.
Wow. Unbelievable rollback there, but he, you know, so he has to do.
Now he's going for it. Now he gets tight up to this Lugano fence.
Very good.
They've got the scope. Have they got the pace to the final fence? 42.39. He's
and
just
eating
ground.
And then walks the 6, but he's
2:04. He wins it.
Yeah.
Richard Vogel of Germany, United Touch S, squeaks it out to be the winning combination here tonight. And as you said, Carl, just ate it down to the last. It's a win for Germany.
Yep. And he took the chances he needed to. You know, we said he needed to do 6 to the last. He made it look easy. But that rollback to fence 15, I think, was really the big ticket item.
Right down to the wire in the end. McLean Ward 42.39. Richard Vogel at 42.04. As you say, just walk down there. Just as you say, almost look as though they're trying to slow it down.
And watch this. He just turns, and then all of a sudden, you know, it was just unbelievable the amount of, you know, degrees of change per stride.
But for a lot of horses, that would have possibly become quite a long way away at that point. For this horse, they did it.
Exactly, and that 6 was just, it was a galloping 6, but it wasn't reckless or anything. He could even bend it back to the right and not jump. Unbelievable.
It's very different. Richard Vogel of Germany is your winner with United Touch S. McLean Ward is finishing in second. Shane Sweetnam into third. In fact, it's an Irish 3, 4 and 5 with Jordan Call on the time faults there, dropping into 5th place. They like to group together, as he saw on the podium last time, but US and Germany above this time. 2 for the US after that with Adrian Sternlicht and Lily Keenan. Ashley Bond finishing in 8th place. Scott Keach of Australia after that for a top 10 finish. Rennie Dittmer completes that top 10, and 11 and 12 for the monies there. Tim Gredley and Cian O'Connor. We're going to give you the full rundown of that coming up very shortly after a very quick break, when we'll see the winning round again and possibly catch up with our winner as well. Join us for that in a moment or two. It's a win for Germany.
You'll know Mars for our confectionery, but we're also the people behind Buckeye Nutrition and many horse and pet food brands. Our research has been responsible for breakthroughs in animal welfare. In fact, Mars has been part of the equestrian community for almost 90 years. We sponsor events like Kentucky and badminton, work with riders like Andrew Hoy, Lauren Nicholson, Ben Mayer. We even named one of our most famous brands after a horse. Mars Equestrian, building a better world for horses, pets, and people.
So let's take a look at the winning round of Richie Vogel and United Touch S. Carl Cook alongside me. I mean, again, they could just produce some magic here.
Yep, they could get that 7, which is a leave out, steady. So the rollback was quick to fence 5 or fence 3. This 7 was normal for him, almost even a little steady. But then this rollback was just, waits for a second, and then once he's in that turn, just spins it around, and that was special.
Very good stuff. Covers the ground, as we know. This horse just eats up the surface there, and this is a fabulous turn back for them.
And very accurate, right to a good spot, not stress coming in, and then leaves out a stride to the last and makes it look normal. Bending does a 6, no problem.
And over the line, it was just down to tiny fractions in the end, as you can see there. 0.347 the difference, but 42.04 enough for Richard Vogel of Germany to get ahead of McLean Ward in second, and Shane Sweetnam, James Can Cruz is on the podium once again. Such consistency from that combination, and for the pair that have won the American Gold Cup before now. McLean Ward, multiple wins here, including 5-star wins with Callis here in this arena as well. As we ready for the presentations here, Carl Cook, you're going to be on duty for Nations Cup coming up as well next week. You've got a lovely lineup there as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have my horse Caracol de la Roque for the Nations Cup next week. We got a good team with good horses, and I think we have a real shot to win.
Absolutely. Well, US team are going to come out strong. You're going to be with us throughout the rest of the season now here in Wellington as well. Pretty well.
Yes.
Pretty well for most of it. As they head in for the ribbons. And very well done to Richard Vogel. Of course, many who follow will know he won the Rolex Grand Prix here back last year as well in the rain with Sapanu Balubay, and getting set for their victory gallop. Well done to the winning combination here, but we're going to have the presentation of the check to the winning groom as well first. Felicia Wallen to receive that Groom's Award that's presented by the Double H Farm. And thanks to them, $500 going to the winning groom as well as a little added bonus. And the Mainstream Munchies too. They've got carrots down there for the horses, sponsored by Mainstream, courtesy of Mainstream Streamlines Horse Transport as well. And so there we go. United Touch, very special horse indeed. As they go off on their victory gallop, then we'll come to the podium finish. You know, it is a different horse. It's an exceptional horse, Carl. I mean, but it's found its right rider as well.
Absolutely. It's just, you know you're watching something really special, and it's amazing to watch, and makes it hard for us to compete against. But that's part of it. It's really amazing.
Absolutely. The Geneva Grand Prix winners, I think they're going to be heading to the Dutch Masters in a couple of weeks' time as well to go for the next part of that leg too, because they're chasing $1 million there as well. So they're pretty good from that point of view. Few high fives to the crowds. Get the videos down there. If you are here in the stadium, make sure you come and stand alongside at the end. And you get to be a part of that, to get some great photos and some goodies as well they give out down there too. And so, getting ready for the presentation now of our podium finish. United Touch done for the night. Well done. And they're being congratulated by the rest of our top three there. Oh, McLean Ward and family joining. Oh, we've been some face painting tonight. Not for McLean, of course.
Oh.
He reserves his riding for being the tiger out there.
I would love to see McLean with some face
and
paint.
And McLean has actually been helping Richie as well. Yeah, so there's been a bit of training going on there as well. And actually, Richie said the other day how much he's learnt from McLean while he's been here too. But in the meantime, Shane Sweetnam and James Can-Cruz for the Gizmo partners stand into third place here on the podium here tonight. Second place to McLean Ward and Callis. Well done to them. Still having a discussion with Richie down there. And Richard Vogel of Germany holds his hat aloft in salute to the crowd, and joined by Melissa Brown as Director of Equestrian for Lugano to present in tonight's Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix. Quite the three there, Carl. It's a strong group of those top three riders and horses.
Absolutely. They coming in, they were all three of them. You'd say they all have a serious shot tonight. I don't think anyone's shocked by that podium. They all rode amazing, and their horses jumped great, and they very much deserved it.
Absolutely. And so well done to them. Well done to the team behind. And we are getting ready for the champagne moments to come up as well as part of tonight's proceedings, and of course the playing of the national anthem to our winning rider as well, which we're just readying for, and of course it is the national anthem of Germany. Ward was armed and dangerous
Oh,
already.
Yeah, he was ready.
You just sneakily see him getting ready there, and it just shows the wonderful camaraderie between them as well. Lovely support, yeah. Little clink of the glasses. Congratulations to them. Well deserved, and right down the back of the neck. It's strange to say, but it shows respect.
Yeah. It's all in good fun, and if you win, you know, it'd be weird if it didn't happen.
Absolutely. So well done to them. And thank you very much to all of those part of tonight's competition. Superb stuff, fantastic top three. My thanks to Carl Cook for joining me throughout the night. We've kept him busy through the Pre-Grand Prix show and into our $385,000 Lugano Diamonds class. Some just missing out this time, but I feel they'll be back for more as they go. But our victor is Richard Vogel of Germany and United Touch S. Very well done to him. Some superb acrobatics there, again, as we see from his round. James Cancruz and Shane Sweetnam showing their consistency, and of course the home flag waved by McLean Ward, finishing into second place in the end there with Callis as well to complete. And this has been a presentation of Wellington National and ESPN. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight as part of competitions for this Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix. We look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Good night.